keep it charged.
That's too
I don't think it's gonna reach.
This could come out longer.
Oh, okay. It's fine. I'm fine. Have you ever used these Microsoft computers?
Upside down.
No.
I bought one like a year and a half ago, and I had working journey. They have no. They
So
have
this,
no.
this is,
showing.
this is
They don't get a lot.
211.
Yeah, well, they don't have any drive, do they?
No, they do not.
I
Yeah.
got my whole life on these
Yeah,
things.
no.
So,
No, they have a drive, but they
Oh, do
don't
they?
have.
Oh.
They don't have like
Oh,
a CD.
so
or
what are you trying to figure out where that
No, they're pretty good.
spot was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I know where, so I'm clearing that. Brittany.
So I'm gonna have my phone on just so everybody knows.
Okay,
'cause
I don't know where that is.
I have a
Recording.
3-week-old baby at home, so
Oh,
and my wife has 2. We have 3 kids, so in case, just in case.
Dare turn that ringer off, right?
Yeah, just it shouldn't ring, but I'm just gonna forewarn you.
Oh.
The barcode's up there. Okay.
Well, that's another thing I have to sign in. Such
So when you plug into that, can they see what's on your screen?
Well, that's the plan, yeah. Although
Okay.
I just sort of,
Enter a password for sending that free. Why'd you have to have a password for free?
I don't know. They ask for passwords for too many things. I
Is
get
there-
sick of it.
Kelly, is there a password for the SandyNet free Wi-Fi in here that you can tell me?
I don't actually log on because I have unlimited data plan. Try COS 4 5s and then a $sign and see if that works. Let's see if we got it written down here.
okay.
Oh,
Did that work or no? No.
unable to join as a guest.
I honestly don't know because I don't ever log into it.
I'll pass around my phone. Hold on. I've got that written down.
Do you know what it is?
Okay.
Get started.
Put in,
We're just having a
um,
few little technical difficulties.
When it asks you what the,
Password is.
what this, yeah, it's this.
What is it? I can't see
City
it.
is 2013. Pass it down so she can see. Okay?
Oh,
And that's the one that's on, that should work, did it?
just a. Looks like it did.
Did you get it working, Susan?
Yes, thank you.
Don't blame me. I didn't know anything.
This doesn't seem to be
Connecting?
connecting. Let me, do I have the right thing connected?
I don't know,
So
because I
this
only use
looks
this
like-
one.
Uh-huh.
This one's for Microsoft
here.
computers, but you have to have one of
This
these.
is 211.
Other than that, I don't know how the
So
connections on
this
that
is
device
211 going this way, and that's over
Just-
here. So I would guess
Do you have it on, like, the front
this
door by any chance?
is right here.
Where's the
Tobacco is
Here.
Yeah.
So it's on that side.
Yeah. So maybe this is
Yeah.
tobacco.
Okay. Thanks.
Mhm. Okay, so this is the one where they're talking about.
Okay, I'm gonna call this
park space in here?
meeting of the
Okay.
City of Sandy Parks Board to order. It's 7:03. And I'm going to do roll call. Kathleen Walker, Chair, present.
Valerie Wickland.
Michael Weinberg.
Susan Drew.
We have Bethany has just been appointed to the City Council. Lucky her. We also, I had somebody that was interested in being on the Parks Board. His name was CJ, I can't think of his last name. Anyway, he said he'd come, but hasn't come yet, so. And Lori Smallwood, our council representative, is excused absence.
What was that other name when we had all of those emails going back and forth? There was somebody on there I never heard of.
Jordan?
Welty? Angelia
Welty.
Welty?
Oh, she's the HR, she's an HR staff person in the
Oh.
city of Sandy.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got public comment tonight, but I just want to quickly ask if there's any changes to the agenda first before I dig into the rest of it.
The only thing I wanted to do was talk about the financial reports.
Right, and so that was one where we had agreed to kind of add that at the last minute. And then again, the add-on for the Ponder Lane subdivision. Okay, so under public comment, there was an email. Did you all see that email from Jerry Crosby about the entrance, the signs in Sandy River Park? It's, yeah, we should, we didn't use the word trailhead because we don't have a trailhead parking there. It's like, you park up along Marcy Street or you park, over by the football field. And so the gist of the comment was that we used the word entrance on all our trail signs rather than trailhead. I think we have, as you saw, Mike, probably we have the master plan for that park, and it calls for a trailhead parking area at the top by the gate. So once that's constructed, I think, we'll look at some changing out the signs in the future, but in the meantime, that information's also on the hikingproject.com site, so people can kind of figure it out.
It would seem that entrance isn't really wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a park entrance. Parks, it's not just the trail.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
entrance is more than a trailhead. It's
Yeah.
also the entrance to the
Yeah.
park. So, I mean, you could go either way, but it's not like it's absolutely terrible the way it is.
Yeah, I think it's semantics.
Yeah.
Okay, did everybody have a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
No, I
No.
couldn't see it.
Kathleen, do you want
Do you
your
have-
CDL up there?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it is up there.
Oh, okay, good, yeah, that's what I wanted.
I can make that one viewable too if you want.
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
They can see it on your screen, can you see?
Something.
Can you see a Mount Hood and a moon rise?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
there we go, all right.
I can turn this on.
So, best view in Oregon is there at the Johnswood Viewpoint, if you're not familiar with it. Go see it. It's on all the major state of Oregon and Clackamas County brochures and stuff, yeah. It's on Bluff Road, and it's just along Bluff Road, and it looks over the whole Bull Run watershed. You can see over the Washington, Mount Hood, and it is, it's very striking. So anyway, we don't have the meeting minutes, is that right? I didn't.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that one, to be honest.
Okay, so I'm gonna suggest that we table that agenda item
So you guys
for
need-
the next meeting to
From-
review the.
from the 9th?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have several meeting minutes that haven't been approved. We asked James to make some corrections to them. I
Right.
think at least maybe 3.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And some of them we made him in verbal comments, and some of them I actually emailed him comments that I had asked changes to.
So you think there's the 9th and then the 2 meetings prior to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, at least, yeah. There was December, and November was canceled, and I think it was the October, December.
October, December, and January.
And there was just some changes to those, but we haven't seen the January 9th ones yet, so we'll need to put that on the agenda for next time. Okay, all right. We've got the addition of the budget thing and the addition of this development, and so what I'm gonna propose is that since these gentlemen have come to the meeting, well, let's go ahead and, you know, talk about their proposal. And we've got, you know, about 10 minutes at the most, but 5 minutes hopefully, to kind of talk about your proposal.
Would you like us to
Yes,
start?
please.
And do you want me to speak into the mic?
Does he need to do that
I
to be
don't
heard
mind
on the,
standing.
it's videotaped, so I think you have to speak into some mic to be videotaped.
I'm gonna just
Yeah,
clip
I would
this
agree.
to the cardboard and I'll remove it when I'm finished. So thanks for letting us speak tonight. My name is Mike Robinson. I'm a land use attorney, and I wanted to tell you, they didn't send me because I'm a land use attorney. They sent me tonight because I was the only member of the development team that could come out tonight. So I'm not going to give you a legal lecture. With me is David Hill. David is with Geo Development. Geo is the entity that would like to develop this 98 lot subdivision on Ponder Lane, and I'll try and do this from here. So if you're oriented, this is north, this is DeBarco Road, this is Highway 211, and I'm going to talk in just a moment about what we're proposing to do, which is connect Gunderson from this subdivision out to 211 for traffic reasons. So we understand that you make a recommendation to the city for the subdivision as to whether they ought to dedicate parkland or make a fee in lieu payment. And we're asking that you recommend a fee in lieu payment. And we want to be, we're trying to balance two things. We're trying to balance doing the subdivision and doing the things that the city would like us to do, which we're not necessarily required to do, but we want to be a good citizen, and at the same time contribute to the city's needs for its parks. What we don't think we could do because of the economics of subdividing land these days is give up land. We need all 98 lots for the subdivision to make it work economically. And what I thought I might do is just explain a little bit of what's going on. So one thing the city would like us to do is, instead of putting traffic to the what would be to the west up into Melissa Lane and that existing subdivision, they'd like us to extend Gunderson Lane in that area shown in white down to 211. It gives a new way out, it puts the traffic down on the highway. That's a fairly heavy lift. That area is outside of the urban growth boundary. It requires us to make an application to Clackamas County. And if you've ever gone through what's called an exception process, it's a fairly complicated process. I personally think we can do it, but it's going to take some time and add to the cost. And then if we're able to do it, we have to construct Gunderson Road. We have to pay for the right to get across that land, which we don't own. We have to construct the road. And then we have to work with ODOT to add a couple of turn lanes to make it work. So it's probably in the neighborhood of at least $1.5 million, plus the time and the cost to get the exception. And I tell you that just so you understand, there's a number of things we have to do, the city would like us to do, which we're happy to do, but we can't do all of those things at the same time and also give up parkland. As I said, the economics of the subdivision are that we need the 98 lots. So if we do this subdivision, we make the fee in lieu contribution, which I understand is around $300,000. It's, I think, just north of that amount. And if we develop each of the 98 lots with a single-family dwelling, the park SDC fees are $3,700 per lot. It's about $370,000. So all told, that's about 670, give or take, dollars that goes into the city's funds for park. Some of that you could use for parkland acquisition, some of it you can use for park improvements. So again, my point in explaining this is to try and help you understand what we're trying to do, which is to balance everything the city would like us to do with what we can do to be a successful subdivision. And I understand I had just a few minutes. I didn't want to use it all up without giving you a chance to ask me questions, which I'm happy to answer if I can. So thanks very much for your time tonight. We appreciate your taking out of your agenda to hear what we had to say.
Thank you, Mike.
You are welcome.
So you're having to come out on 211 instead of going north over there by Rachel and all that. Is that because the DeBarco is at capacity? That what's that street there, Rachel or
Melissa.
Melissa? Yeah.
That's a good question. There are a couple of issues, and I don't want to turn this into a planning commission hearing, but I think the best answer to your question is, once we get through Melissa, all that traffic comes out on DeBarco. There's an intersection further down on DeBarco that's a problem. And it probably, Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, my sense from having talked to Todd Mobley, who's our traffic engineer, is that intersection is probably not fixable, or at least as easily fixable in relative terms as it is extending Gunderson out to 211. So working with Kelly and Mike Walker, I think we've made a choice that and again, there are some legal issues and I don't want to bore you with those, but if we're able to do this, the preference is to go out to Gunderson. It has a couple of benefits, not only to the folks that will live in the subdivision, but to others in the city. So that's the traffic issue. Does that make sense, Kathleen?
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
the other
Yeah.
thing to add to that, just from a planning perspective, is that it's not just the failing intersection, but it's also that there's the amount of trips that's generated from all the houses in that subdivision off Melissa already exceeds the limitation for a local street. So basically, it's already exceeding the local capacity that should be entering Melissa,
yeah.
and this would actually almost
Okay.
double
Yeah.
that again.
And if I could just say one more thing, and this is 15 seconds. My client, the developer, is not a client that doesn't want to be a good citizen. He's asked me to find a way legally to work through all this and work with Kelly, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're not coming to Kelly and saying, no, we're not going to do any of this. We're coming to him and we're saying we're trying to accommodate it, but understand there's a number of moving pieces to it.
So some of the things that we talked about at our last meeting was that, you know, this is kind of the first big development on the north side of 211 that's been proposed, and, you know, because we've got all the Bornstead stuff, and it took a long time for that to get off the ground with all the stuff that needed to happen. The parcel that's being proposed in the 97 Parks Master Plan, it called for a community park at this, and they're conceptual, but they're in this general conceptual location, it called for a community park. And so when we were talking about this, and our understanding is that this isn't something kind of that the, you know, city is requesting. This is something that's required. It's the city's, as I understand the regulations, is that it's the city's choice as to whether to take the land or to take the fee in lieu of land. So that's the choice we have tonight. The other fee that we would be getting for development would be coming regardless of whether we do the land or the fee.
It's the system development.
Right,
portion.
so we'll be getting those funds regardless,
Right.
yeah.
And if I could, I
Uh-huh,
appreciate
okay.
what you're having to say. I'll offer a couple of thoughts, and I don't want to
No,
prolong this.
yeah.
So, again, without turning this into a planning commission hearing, I understand what the 97 plan, so I think that was the OTAC plan. Is that the plan that I looked at, Kelly? You've got, I'm aware of the plan, I've looked at it. The issue for us is, given the economics in developing land today and everything that the city would like to see done, there's a tension, and you can only do so much. And I would never come to a hearing and say, this is, you know, this, we're simply not, my client won't do the subdivision if you request land. But I think it makes it less likely that they're gonna be able to do it. I'm not saying that you wouldn't see the subdivision, I'm just telling you what my clients discussed with me. And we feel like we're in a better position to contribute to financial capability of the park system with both the SDC fees that we'll pay if the subdivision gets developed and the fee in lieu payment. We're not as confident that we can be a good citizen and ultimately dedicate the land, because we're not confident that that's going to allow the subdivision to go forward. And I'm not trying to dispute anything you said, I just wanted to offer that perspective.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
understand, there's financial directives there.
Thank you.
So one of the things that,
Michael.
you know, I've been around here for a long time, seeing all these developments happen, and what was really, and some of that was Sandy Bluff, but also these other developments that happened, the developers saw the benefit of having a park in their neighborhood that they were developing. In fact, they would build the park before they would finish the houses in the subdivision, pretty early in the process. And that sold the houses like hotcakes when people knew that. I think the thing that we were looking at was that these people can't cross this 211 very easily unless they get in their cars to go over to Bornstead Park. And so that was kind of why we had a park located in this area, because you've got you've got Tickle Creek, you've got 211, and so this is kind of a landlocked area. And so I guess I'm curious that, you know, because parks are such motivating factors for people to buy a house in a subdivision, wouldn't you think that that would be something that would help sell the lots?
So we certainly agree parks are an important asset to the city of Sandy. I've had the pleasure of being a land use attorney now for about 30 years. Seems like it's been longer at times. And I don't think I've ever found anyone that said parks weren't an important asset. The issue here is, A, we think folks are gonna buy the homes anyway. Sandy's a lovely community to live in. Folks wanna live out here. It has a number of benefits as opposed to living in Portland. You all know them. But I think most importantly, and I keep coming back to this, and I apologize for harping on this, at some point you just can't, you know, the landowner wants a certain price. We have SDC fees not only for parks, but for transportation and water and other utilities. The city wants Gunderson Road. At some point you just say, you know, we can't do this project, maybe the next purchaser might be able to, and so you don't get a park. I guess, and beyond that, you know, I'm just speculating about what some other issues might be, but I want to go back to that. I think for us, it's just, we have to try and balance, and we'd like to get the right transportation solution, which requires something on the ground, whereas at least with parks, not disputing that it would be nice to have a park, at least with parks, we can make a financial contribution to the park system.
And wait,
Kathleen,
Go for it.
could you remind us of what our vote was on this issue?
It was 3-2.
Which way?
for a small park.
In favor of having a park here,
In
in
favor of
favor
having a
of
park.
land dedication.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's us who have said that we'd rather have the park. It's not the city. City, as far as I know, hasn't taken any position on that. So you keep saying you want to accommodate the city, but I don't know that that's an accommodation to the city yet.
Well, you are the city.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
represent, at least in my humble opinion, you
Okay.
represent the citizens. You've been appointed by the city council, and I think your job is to try and do, if I can just offer this, like any citizen body, I think your job is to try and do what you think is best, in the
Right.
best interest of the community and in particular parks. So I apologize if I made it sound like I was talking about another group. And you know, I almost started out by saying, I know you've already taken a position on this, and we really wanted you to take a second look at it. You know, the reality is, again, I sound like a broken record, there's only so much we can do. And I'm sure if you wanted to, we could have more of a discussion. I have some other thoughts, but given the limited amount of time and what I was prepared to talk about tonight, I thought I would just.
No.
Michael, you.
That's fine. I don't mind taking a second look. I voted in the minority. So-
And I
Well, I'd like you to.
I could see to change my vote, because I voted the other way, so.
Okay.
I mean, when I think of the opportunity, you know, maybe to get a larger, use the money to get a larger park somewhere, to have ball fields, and maybe that might be preferable. So definitely worth a second look, I think.
I'm going to sit down. If there are
Mhm.
questions like
Okay.
you'd like to ask me, I'm sure Kathleen would let you, but I wanted to thank you for your time
Thank
tonight. I
you.
really do appreciate it.
Thanks for coming in.
Are you looking for us to make a decision tonight? Is that what we were supposed to do?
Well,
A recommendation.
yeah, we had a pre-application meeting in, was it November? Was
I
before
honestly don't know when
Christmas.
it was. Yeah, it was somewhere in there.
We've spent the last couple of months trying to figure out how to do this, talking with ODOT and the county and Kelly. We think we've got a plan that works. We vetted it with Kelly and David, your city attorney, yesterday. And so we were hoping you'd be in a position to make a recommendation tonight so we could actually start the wheels moving. The exception that I told you that's required to get county approval for Gunderson, that could take as long as a year. I'm hoping it takes more in the order of 6 months, but we'd sort of like to get going if we think we have a project. So that's why we came out tonight.
So since we don't have a city attorney here, I'll play the part of being the city attorney for a minute, just because I was in a meeting with the city attorney yesterday, discussing this with Mike. And so what the city attorney recommended on behalf of the Parks Board was to make a recommendation tonight. And then that recommendation, if it's the same as what the applicant is asking for, then we would just proceed with the land use application. And if your recommendation is different than what the applicant is asking for, then we would bring basically both sides of the story, or both the opposing different sides of it, to city council on March 4th, and then city council would make the decision on whether it's a parks fee in lieu or a dedication of parkland. And so that was the advice of the city attorney, yes, right? Was that, would you say that was?
I think that's 100% accurate.
Okay.
So that would be the March 4 city council meeting?
Yeah, yes, correct. And so the city attorney did want you guys to make a recommendation tonight if you could.
But we could make it at our next meeting if we needed to talk about it. I mean, just,
You could, it would just, I don't think we could then achieve the March 4th city council meeting, which it's not,
Well, our next meeting's in February.
yeah. But we would need
Oh.
turnaround time
Oh.
to, put a staff report together. And our new city manager wants at least 3 weeks to know when staff report items are coming forward. So I think we'd be delaying maybe a couple weeks, I don't know.
so do we have enough people here to vote?
Yeah, we have a quorum, yeah. I understand.
Thank goodness you all showed up.
Yeah.
I've been fairly quiet, but just one last thing.
This is David Hill.
Yeah, sorry, to touch on.
Can you go up to the microphone
Yeah,
so it's
sure.
on the record, please?
David Hill, one last thing to touch on, just in terms of, I do land acquisition for our company, so I spend my days talking to property owners, and when we were, I was the one that was tasked with getting the land that we would need to bring Gunderson to the south, to the highway. And I think we're in a unique position to, the past 2 months with the city and our side have been working with each other. I've been working with the property owner of that parcel where Gunderson's gonna come through, and the neighboring parcels on either side as well. And it's been a pretty wild ride to get everyone on the same page, and we have agreements finally in place as of just a few days ago. In fact, we're waiting for one addendum to come through even as we speak. So we are in a position to make this happen, and I think that if we have to pass on it, it's just gonna be a tough thing to put together again. I know it bears no weight on what you folks have to decide, but I would like you to know that we're just in a unique position to finally accomplish this thing. It took quite a bit of work just to get Gunderson to become a possible reality.
What, the approach that we were looking at, last month was, you know, getting the land dedicated with the anticipation that it would be either on the east side or the west side, so that we could then marry it to whatever developed on one side or the other to make a larger park. In other words, this was not a standalone park just with what you were doing. And so, so by not getting the land here, it kind of limits our ability to, you know, put it on to the next, you know, because I'm sure the stuff to the right or the left will be, east or west will be developing at some point in the future, and so we don't really have the option to, you know, to get more land from them as part of their land dedication policy. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the west, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about the inner workings of how it works, but to the west, we have the county. Can you folks put parks on county lands as well, I assume, right?
I don't know.
We have, I mean, we have put,
Yeah.
we basically end up annexing them in. We've done that with
Okay.
Sandy River Park and
So outside the UGB is not something you guys could.
not normally, but there are exceptions, yeah.
But just my thought
Yeah.
is, with the fee in lieu of, the price per acre goes down dramatically,
Right.
right? As soon as you get outside
Understood.
that UGB, and just to the west of us is currently outside the UGB, and I don't know
Right.
if it's an option for
Yeah.
you to go after dirt that's outside the UGB, in which case
Yeah, we can buy land outside.
you
the
could
UGB.
buy probably
Right.
that whole
Yeah.
section for the 300 and some odd.
I mean, our sewer
dollars.
treatment plant's outside the UGB, like most cities.
Yeah, that's right,
But
So,
I will tell you that with, the big limiting factor, if you know Sandy at all, is terrain. And so a community park that was called for in the 97 plan
Mm.
is usually ball fields, and that's the one thing we're lacking,
Mhm.
that we're trying to do. And so, you know, this parcel was unique in that it had some flat ground,
Mhm.
whereas, and it was contiguous to other fairly flat ground.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of the attractive part of that, that we were kind of, that was my motivation for recommending that we have the land dedication. And I don't know that we even have willing sellers, you know, anywhere on either side of that. And you know, we may, but maybe not for 20 years. And so that's kind of the hard part with this, park planning is you kind of have to take advantage of things as they come up. And I know, like I said, you're, having being the first one on the north side there, you guys have extra costs that the subsequent developers will reimburse you for in the future. Well, when they, when they're tying into the Gunderson, that,
No, there's no reimbursement.
Yeah, there won't be with this subdivision.
no, when the stuff to the left or when the road that ties into the middle of the subdivision, won't they have to share in the cost for getting it out to 211?
No, that's,
No, because it's not in the CIP list in the Transportation Systems Plan.
Okay,
that's fully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's-
usually how it
That
works.
typically would be the,
Yeah.
no, you are right, that typically is how
That's
it
one of our
works.
conundrums is that.
Yeah,
Fully
they can't.
We're having to figure out how to come up with the extra 1.3 million
Plus.
plus,
Yeah.
that we weren't
Well,
expecting.
Kelly, do you have a
So go-
recommendation on this?
So Gunderson Road is in the, Kathleen is correct, Gunderson Road is in the Transportation Systems Plan as a future road, and we even have a cost estimate with it. However, because when we did our TSP update last time, this area was not in the UGB yet, that was never put on the CIP list. So Mike is correct that there is no ability to get reimbursement at this point if they go forward with the subdivision.
Right, but you're redoing the transportation plan. I would assume now that you've expanded your UGB, you'll add Gunderson, so that when the parcels on either side develop, they will then,
But it would be too late though, because
So-
their subdivision order would be approved.
no, it won't count towards them, but in 5 years, when the next parcel develops, it'll all be,
No, there are two,
Yeah, it doesn't-
there's two ways for a developer of a collector of street like Gunderson to get some money back. One is you get SDC credits for the oversized facility, so you wouldn't get any contribution for what would be called the local section, but beyond that you do.
Right.
But the other way is a reimbursement district. There's no way to do a reimbursement district and impose it on, so not all the property that we, no let me say it, let me say it the easy way. There's no possibility to do a reimbursement district here. So the cost we spend to acquire the right-of-way and the majority of the cost we spend to build the road, it's our nickel.
will you get an
So to speak.
SDC credit for the capacity?
Very little. We talked with Mike Watt, there's just, hopefully we will get some, but
I
it's
think you
really-
get some, but I don't think it's gonna.
And it needs to go on the CIP list. Right now, it's not, right now,
Yeah,
because
it's
it's not on that list, it doesn't qualify, it doesn't serve as a qualified public improvement. So
Correct.
it would be nice if we had if all of this were in the city and all of it were in the UGB, we would have some different options, but we don't. And that's unfortunate, but it happens all the time out on the edge, and that's.
Yeah, and it's actually a really weird thing, because the portion of Gunderson that's outside of our UGB, that'll actually be an approval by Clackamas County to get the road in. And then I think they want us to take ownership of it eventually or something,
That would be ideal, but that's.
but so it's a really weird, to be quite frank, for you guys, it's a really weird subdivision request in the sense that there's some very unusual things going on that we don't typically, as a city, we wouldn't typically deal with for transportation wise.
How many lots are, what's the acreage dedication? Was it like 1.6? That was, if we had the last
I
meeting.
don't have the
notes.
numbers on me.
Okay.
Susan, did you have?
Can
I think
I
it's
just,
smaller than that.
I
I think
know
it's
you've sort of been
1.2.
talking about it, but can you say just one more time, what is the rush? Why is the one more month would make so
Well,
much difference?
That's a good question. It's not actually a rush. David, how long have you been in negotiations with the property owner to sell the property?
So we went under contract, it was in last fall.
So,
But I mean, like for us to develop things like, well, like Tickle Creek Trail, people were working on it for 10 or 15 years and stuff. So what
so
is the rush?
okay, so I'm gonna talk like I'm the developer and it's my
Okay.
money at risk. So there's a couple things. One is, you only have a certain amount of time under the purchase and sale agreement to do what's called due diligence. And after that, you either have to close or you walk away. If you decide you want to risk it, you're going to put money down. You don't get a refund of that money. You get it applied to your purchase price, but you have to buy the property. And if ultimately you can't buy it because you can't figure out how to make all the land use pieces fit into the puzzle, that money is out. And secondly, and I just want to be candid about this, you don't want, if you're a developer, like my client, you actually want to bring it to market so you can get families to buy the homes and live there. And spending a year trying to figure out what to do, all it does is reduce your profit, and that's how you are able to build this stuff and increase the carry costs, which means if you do build something, the homes sell for more. So I think it's not a rush, but we've been at this since the fall, and we'd like to know whether we have a project in this. And I don't want to put pressure on you. We would like you to make a recommendation tonight, and it's simply because we really need to move on. So I thought it was a good question, and I appreciate your asking it, and I hope that was helpful to you.
Sorry, just to finish. We, in the purchase and sales agreement, we have timelines in place with the property owner, and he has expectations of, we have deadlines, we have drop dead dates of when we have to close. And currently, with the holdup of trying to figure out how to get Gunderson to work and dealing with the other property owners, we are behind schedule. We need to be breaking ground on this for the next building season, which would not this coming summer, but the following. And so a couple months ago, when we were kind of getting going on this, we had some buffer time, we could make it work. We're just unfortunately at the point now where we actually don't have any more time that we can lose and still stay on schedule to close at our agreed upon time with the property owner and to break ground for the building season of 2020.
I'm gonna make a suggestion. Go ahead, Mike.
I don't see what we have to gain by putting off our recommendation for a month. I mean, are we gonna learn anything in that month that's going to affect how we vote?
I think what I was looking at is, because I kind of feel like this is a big decision, because,
Yeah.
and I understand the consequences of I understand the appeal process that's available for March 4th. Is that what I heard?
I mean, I think I would have to confirm it with our city attorney, but
Yeah.
if you decided not to make a recommendation tonight, I think Mr. Robinson could reach out to our attorney and say, I think, they can go to council anytime they want. So
Right,
I think they
yeah,
could even
yeah.
request council to make a decision without your input, if they wanted to ask that.
Right. But what I would like to do, I guess, is to consider it, making a final decision at our next meeting after we've had a little chance to kind of think about it. And then, and if necessary, move the February meeting from the third week to the second week to the 13th, which would give you the 2-week time you need lead time on the March 4th city council meeting. It would
That
give you more
work?
than 2 weeks.
Kelly, would that work?
Possibly.
But you said you needed 3-week lead.
Yeah,
Well, that would
for-
give them 3 weeks.
That would give
Oh,
you
okay.
3 weeks.
Not
Yeah,
quite, but yeah,
almost.
it's getting closer.
If we, and that way, there's some, we've got a lot of discussions to a lot of things to talk about in our workshop, and so I think, this is this won't come up, but I think
Might.
that may, some other things, just talking about master planning and things like that may kind of change my mind. So, it would be helpful to talk about it. It just gives us a little bit of time to, for me, I guess I'd like a little bit more time. But if you guys want to, run with it now,
Well, I'm fine with voting on it now, and I don't know, I don't know how these things are decided
I'm fine with-
procedurally.
Now as well. I just think about how, I was a business person, and I think about how difficult it is to get things done, and I believe that the city's taking a different direction, maybe to try to be more friendly toward business. That's just my perspective. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
these things usually take just get, has planning commission, it's all through the planning commission, and no, so it's not.
Because and as advised by our city attorney, this is the first thing that they're looking to solve. Because I think if they figure, and I'll let them speak to this, but I think if they figure out that council in the end decides that they want the park, I think they want to evaluate if they want to go forward with the land use application at all.
Mhm.
Is that accurate?
I think that's fair.
Yeah. So that's why it hasn't even gone to planning commission or anything yet.
And our role is not to really need to think about all those business issues. We're to try to think about the people that are living here and whether or not, I mean, and over the years, all the time, we are aware and hear and get feedback on what the parks and the trails and all those things do to enhance people's lives, and how they're made and where they're made and what they are makes a big difference, and we hear about it all the time, and that's what I think our job is. And I mean, I can appreciate that you're trying to make something that works, but, you know, I mean, in a way, I don't mean to sound, but it's not my problem, so to speak. My problem is, like, can I imagine 100 new homes having no parks? And one question I had is, you know, you can walk through that little place over to Melissa and Rachel. I mean, people do that, right? Right up there where Carol and those guys live. You can walk right through that thing that would become a road if it were, but will people still be able to walk over?
Well, and
But-
they can, but there's still not a park over there.
There's
The
not a
nearest
park,
is
but, you know,
Millwood.
if they keep on walking, eventually
it's
they
more than a
can
quarter
find a
mile,
park.
yeah.
But otherwise,
Well, and I don't
we
think-
don't want people crossing
I don't think
211.
we're saying there can't be a park in that area, we're just saying we would have to do it separately with the money that we get.
Yeah,
And it might be bigger.
but we are not sure about
No, we're not
that.
sure.
We're not sure about when and if that
Well,
happens. So,
well,
so what we have traditionally done is we kind of grab things along in a way. You know, we try to take the long view, but we kind of grab and snare things and make stuff as it's possible.
As
And if we
opportunities
started
come.
just saying, oh, well, you know, to this acre and oh, well, to that acre, we wouldn't have the things that we do have.
Can I offer just a thought?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with anything you've said, with one exception. I think it is your problem. One of the problems we have in Oregon is that every time you have, and I speak from experience, and this is my opinion, not my clients, and maybe others don't share it. There's so many demands placed on the subdivider about what that person, he or she needs to do to bring land to the market and give us homes that we can live in. There's roads, there's utilities, there are parks. And this is a pretty good example. You all would like a park, and I can't argue with anything you're saying about why you want it. But then on the transportation side, they want Gunderson Road. Both of those are, Gunderson Road is gonna be 1.3, 1.5, maybe more. So there's an extra cost. And at the same time, we're removing lots. And those lots have an added value because you're gonna ultimately sell them more once you've got a home on them. So all of that makes it more difficult to bring this to the market and less affordable for folks that are gonna live there. So in a way, it's all of our problems. It's not just the developer saying, give us a break, we can make more money. We're trying to figure out how to work with Kelly and actually come up with a plan that makes sense. And I'm just trying to be as forthright with you as possible. I'm not gonna say there won't be a project, but I will tell you what I understand about the economics are. If we lose the number of lots that go into that park, it makes it a lot more difficult to do Gunderson Road, and maybe it makes it a lot more difficult to do the park. The rest and thank you tonight for some of your thinking. That was extremely helpful to me to understand what you're doing. Maybe there are some solutions that you can consider, but just again, the bottom line is from our perspective, we're trying to balance how we approach this, and we think we're contributing to the city's desire to have a great park system with the financial contribution. We just don't think we can do it with land. But I
Yeah,
appreciate what you have
well, I
to
didn't mean,
say.
I mean, you know, we're concerned about stuff.
Okay, it's
but,
7:42, and we had a
Thank you.
packed full agenda, and this is why I was concerned about letting this get walked on, because it was a big, I knew it was gonna, you know, take a lot of time.
Okay, but it's already taken what it's taken.
Right.
So we can't say very much about how the whole development process goes and how long it takes and how difficult it is. We can't control our process. And I don't see what we have to gain by waiting another month. This isn't brand new. We voted on this 2 months ago. So it's not like we didn't look at it. We're just being asked to take a second look. And I think we ought to take that second look tonight.
Okay,
I agree.
all right, so,
I don't think the Gunderson Road thing was presented to us before. I
We don't
think-
have the Gunderson, we're
No,
not
but I mean-
voting on the
No, I
Gunderson
know
Road
we're not.
problem.
I know we're not, but I don't think that,
No.
so I'm hearing a
Dilemma
motion to
was
take
there.
a vote on whether or not we want to recommend land or fee in lieu of, again.
Well,
Is that
first
right?
we seem to have a difference of opinion about whether we should even vote tonight.
Okay.
So can we
So-
first
so we
decide
first have a
whether
motion
we're
to
going
go ahead
to?
and vote on this tonight rather than postpone it.
Yes.
So all those in favor of voting tonight, raise your hand. 2. All those in favor of delaying it till February, middle of February, raise your hand.
2.
2.
What does that mean?
It means it fails.
Okay.
Okay.
The fact that it hasn't gone to the planning commission yet, you know, I think that that's a process that takes time. I mean, I'm familiar with all these processes because I've testified at quite a few of them and
Well,
how long they take. And I think that this parcel is, you know, when I look back at Bornstead, that was a real deal, I don't want to say deal breaker, but it was a big deal to get all the stuff off 211, the turn lanes and all that. And it took a long time for enough proposed land to get developed before the land, you know, the plans could kind of pay for all that 211 work. But yeah, I guess, okay.
I mean, I get, on your motion there, I guess I would just clarify what was the motion to extend it to next month?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Vote next month.
yeah. So.
or
we'll-
not to vote right now.
yeah.
What is that date?
Tentatively, normally it's, I want to say the 21st, but
We talked about moving
Yeah, I
it
don't know
up.
if
we
I
talked
can-
about moving it. We can move it, I think we can move it to
Possibly.
the 13th. We're going to propose the 13th, otherwise it would be the 20th.
Well, that would
13th
give
is
us
fine
enough
with
time to
me.
get to the city council on the 4th, according to Kelly.
I mean, unless the city manager's willing to bring it anyways.
That would give
which-
you almost 3 weeks to get to the city.
Well, my understanding is he wants 3 weeks.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it does. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, whatever you guys decide tonight, then we can decide if it can get on the 4th or not.
yeah, I think that's enough time. You know, and like I said, I mean, otherwise, you know, we can take a vote now
It wouldn't.
and I think it's probably gonna be tied too, so, you know, that's.
I mean, that could be the recommendation too, though. Is it's not like you're not making a motion that is
How are you gonna
denying
vote?
or
You
approving.
voted with me last time, didn't you?
You're not making a motion that's denying or approving anything. You're making a recommendation.
Right.
So your
That's right.
recommendation could be a 2-2 vote.
Yeah.
And then it's telling city council that you were split on it.
Well, I don't know.
We haven't-
So
It
we're
doesn't
still,
mean-
voted on the
we're still
recommendation.
discussing whether we're gonna vote
I
tonight?
think we
I-
voted whether or not to vote, and we said no. I mean,
We voted on whether or not to
Yeah,
vote.
we can't
Yeah.
still,
So-
yeah.
I'm not sure it would be 2-2 if we voted.
Yeah, it's up to you guys how to do it. I guess I'm just saying, I think if our attorney was here, their option also is to just bring this straight to city council.
Yeah,
City
and that's
council,
always their option.
and city council might
Right.
kick
Yeah.
it back and say you have to go to Parks Board,
Yeah.
or city council might just make a decision.
and they do have that option, and I guess
Right.
that's, you know, if it's all, you know, it has to be everything decided in the 3 weeks, which I'm pretty sure it's not, because if you haven't even been to the planning commission, that's kind of where it you know, it gets, there's a whole lot more
The
things that.
city council may not want to kick it back to us if they know that we're split.
Correct.
So they're not gonna get a clear decision, a clear recommendation.
Didn't wanna be
Okay, I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna call it, because we've got a whole lot of stuff, and I'm a bit
The only
annoyed
thing I
about
can
this.
tell you is I just can't tell you it's even gonna get to planning commission.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out what all the moving pieces are. So the last thing I'll say is thank you so much for letting me talk to you tonight. It's been a pleasure as always
Appreciate
coming
that.
to the city.
Thank you for coming and
Thank
explaining
you.
it. It's very helpful. That's a
So
lot of
where-
good new
Where
information.
do we end up on this? Are we?
We can talk with our attorney, and then you can decide how you want to proceed with it.
But if we want to come back to you, what was the date
It
you
was the
selected?
13th, is that okay with you,
February
Susan?
13th.
Okay,
That's okay with me.
Yep.
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Okay, the next thing was the Jacoby thing, subdivision, and do you have, oh, okay, so I'll call up the.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye-bye.
This is one we've seen before, isn't it?
Correct. And so what's before you tonight is the, let me see here, I think I have something in this file. Yeah, here you go. So yeah, what you have before you tonight is staff at the pre-app. I don't know when this was, it was like 8 months ago, I believe. We had suggested that they put a trailhead somewhere in this subdivision down to, you know, the future extension of Tickle Creek Trail, because this is to the east of Jacoby, so it's pretty far east of where Tickle Creek currently is. And
Give me just a minute to get this all up.
and I believe you guys at the time had recommended to put the trail connection in. And now we have a subdivision proposal that we're going to be hearing in February at the February Planning Commission meeting. And staff would like to hear input on whether you want to make comments, essentially. Because now they have turned in their application and they're indicating that they would not be putting the trailhead in, so.
Oh my gosh, this is getting interesting.
So,
Okay.
I guess the options from a land use.
So let me get the property under, so we've got the map, I've got this map here. And help me understand where it is, because we all are visual.
Let me
It's to the
point on this up
east.
here.
Yeah.
Can you
okay.
guys see if I point up here?
It's east of Avamere there, yeah,
It's,
right in there. Isn't it?
It's
No.
right here.
Yeah, that's Jacoby.
So, this, oh, I'm sorry, no, it's
They're
right
gonna
here.
be your
It's right here.
neighbor.
This is the property.
Okay.
You know that pretty nice house there on Jacoby Road, that's really close to the road? It's just south of that.
okay, this
So,
one right here.
yeah, here's like,
right,
here's the
okay.
creek running
All
through
right.
here.
And so the Tickle Creek Trail is right through here.
Yeah, that's right.
Eventually, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you guys want the alignment of that, but so this is the property here, your question. And we had, staff had suggested that they bring a trailhead down through here to connect to the trail and, you know, dedicate some land. with the
Say that,
subdivision.
show that again?
Kind of bring a trail somewhere through here, down,
To tie into Tickle Creek Trail?
Correct.
Right.
down the hillside. And then I think the Parks Board had went with staff's recommendation on that, of yes, that would be a good amenity to
Yeah.
have someday. They've come back through with this land use application, not showing a trailhead on this property, and instead on, that's why I brought, James included on there. Here, we can pass this around. On,
Is it on here at all? Or no?
it's actually right here. I don't know if it'd be easier just
Yeah,
everyone
we
to
can-
get up on this one, because
Uh-huh.
this was kind of a
Yeah.
last minute thing too, not gonna lie.
Well, that's how sometimes these things happen.
Yep, exactly.
Mhm.
And then I can
So
show you
we're
guys
just
better
gonna-
on here, actually.
So was this what was, well, I'll wait for them to get down here.
Yeah. So originally, when you guys saw this before, is staff had recommended that they bring a trailhead through here somewhere, and then kind of come down to somewhere along the future extension of Tickle Creek. They then submitted this.
This is the actual subdivision being
Mhm.
submitted?
Yeah.
And this is kind of future,
Correct,
possible,
future-
somebody
future
else
street
own it,
layout.
maybe it'll
Okay,
happen.
But then the proposal was that it would go through 3 of their lots.
Yeah, and so they don't want to do that, of course. And
Of
so,
course, neither does this person over here.
correct, correct,
right.
exactly. They're
Kick
just,
the can.
they're pushing it to the next
Exactly,
developer.
right.
Exactly
And
what they're
there's
doing.
no trail there
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
anyway.
So they're proposing it to put it down here, and basically staff's saying, well, it's not following what staff had recommended
Mhm.
or what the Parks Board had recommended,
Right.
and that was to bring the trail through this property somewhere.
And this is the city limits here, right?
Currently, correct.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like Kathleen said, they're basically kicking the can to this developer is then going to be, if we say, okay, this is fine, this guy doesn't need to put a trailhead in now, then, or lady or whoever's developing it, then this person is now on the hook. And then when they come in with a land use app, they might say, well, we don't want to do that either now. And then they'll show a future street layout with the park now on this property. So I don't know.
All this is just stuff those guys have just sort of thrown.
No, this is
I mean,
actually,
that's-
this is
existing
existing.
This part, they
Correct,
just sort of
correct.
thrown it in
Yep.
there. as
It's all
if-
conceptual.
none of
And
it's
this
real.
is steep ground, because I see
Yeah.
we got.
It
Well,
And
so what
then-
is the, tell us what the green is.
Thought I
That
heard the
must be
door
the
open.
setbacks to
Do you want me to
the
close that?
board.
No, it's fine, it's fine. The green is the fish overlay,
Fish floods, so fish
Flood
overlay
slope
is flood
hazard
slope
overlay.
hazard.
so it's just very steep
And it's,
and,
they can't develop in it.
or there's limitations to
There's
the development,
limitations,
yeah.
right. And so,
So they're going to put these 3 lots on this steep? ground?
And so here's what kind of happens when when you do a lot like this, these guys, you know, they can't develop it when they build it. But once it's built, these guys kind of think this is their property lines down here, and, you know, they go put gazebos down there and, you know,
Yeah.
all, you
Yeah,
know.
it can-
You know, right, and so, and it surprises me it's allowed to cross Tickle Creek.
That's
So where
What
was?
what is? I'm
where-
sorry.
well, the lot
Yeah.
size.
So where,
Oh.
wasn't there some sort of dedication of easement? You've got the trail over there, but,
Well, that's the thing, is we were recommending that they were dedicated as part of this land use process, and they're pushing back on us and saying we don't want to.
None of this is built?
aren't they required to?
It's not built.
It's our choice though, right?
Yeah, but they're gonna bring it to a planning commission and argue that they don't wanna do it. And then if we say you still have, so that's why I'm bringing it before you guys. If our position is we still wanna make them do it, and that they need to reconfigure these lots and put a trail in there,
Yeah.
then they'll either do, and if planning commission agrees with that, then they'll either do it, or they'll appeal the decision. Or the other option is we can say, we've changed our mind and we're now okay with this conceptual plan.
So here's some thoughts on that.
And let me
Go ahead.
show you one other
Sure.
thing here. So this is the thing that we had uploaded, and so this is like, what is that called?
LiDAR.
LiDAR, thank you. And so they're saying this area is too steep to go down to the trail along Tickle Creek on their property. And they're saying this area, see what I mean?
It's equally red,
Yeah,
yeah.
Correct,
Which is
even more
equally
so, I
bad.
think,
Yeah, right.
is fine, but the trail down.
Yeah,
So anyways,
yeah.
I'm just trying to
Well,
give you a full.
And so one of the things that you can do here is that, you know, first of all, in my opinion, these, you know, look at the size of these lots.
Yeah.
You know, you could conceivably put, you know, like how we have at Tickle Creek, we've just got a couple, I don't know if you're sure, but there's like the entrance on the west end, right? That goes between two houses. It's just like a little right of way.
Right. Yeah, I
Right,
know what you're
and then you go down there and then you get to the creek.
Yeah.
And so conceivably, you know, it's not that much of a stretch to put
Sure,
an
I see-
easement
I
or
see
something
those all over
here,
the city.
and then to cut these lots, you know, off at some, maybe the break and slope or slightly, but, you know,
Yeah.
kind of put it down here, and then you can, you know, do the switchbacks.
Mhm.
It's not like you're gonna lose the lot. I mean, a
Well, you
little bit
have
of
to do the
width.
switchbacks, you might. That would cut
Well,
into
the
a lot.
switchbacks would be here at the
You
flood
can
slope,
stairs.
Oh, I see
you know.
what you're saying.
Okay, and
That's-
there'd be,
yeah,
and you'd
cut
have
out
a,
earlier.
and you'd have a little trail
Smaller
between the
Yeah,
two houses.
you'd have a little easement, so
Yeah.
this would be a little bit narrower.
Right.
And,
Well, that seems reasonable. I mean, the people are gonna, like you say, what are they gonna do with this steep ground on that lot?
You know, I live
It
right
is their
there on the
property.
other
Yeah,
side
they're
of
right
that
over
trail,
here,
Let me
and
show
they
you guys
do.
something here.
They put gazebos back there.
they, you know, yeah.
Grass
Those
in,
properties are steep.
And then they dump all their stuff, all their
We don't have
dog
any
poop and yard
Here
stuff.
we go. So here's where you're looking.
Yeah.
This is the topography in there. So red is steeper,
Okay,
green
so
is the
where-
least steep.
Okay, so
So
this
here are
is-
those three lots.
This is the three lots.
Was there any land dedication requirement on this, or was this one where we said, we're taking?
Oh, all right, so it's not just
Money.
steep
That's
and the
too
green.
And I think we're
it's steep
recommending the easement or land dedication,
It's
tract
steep
or an easement
right over
for
here.
the trailhead.
Right.
And they're saying, we don't want to do either of those.
Yeah.
Well, you have to do, you know,
Huh.
yeah.
It's really
Say that
steep
again?
right up to the
It's,
very.
it's not like it's only
It's
steep
all
on the
steep.
green part of that map, it's steep,
Mhm.
almost all of it.
Right. Yeah, it's really
And they
steep.
can still develop that on that kind of a
Well,
slope?
that's the interesting part. It's outside the fish, from what we can tell, so I don't know.
And the fish doesn't.
The, our attorney's
Isn't
looking
it
at,
based on the
Very
ground?
based on
our
slope.
attorney's looking into this one right now
Not
for
the
us.
map? Okay, you don't.
Well, no. So what happened is we expanded the UGB. The fish wasn't
Oh.
even mapped yet. I know.
Oh.
I know.
All
I know.
this,
I know. So looking
Well, all
back,
these properties have to be the
looking
first thing
back,
to come out of the chute.
we should have done the fish prior to the UGB adoption,
Right.
right? Because
Yeah.
now it's like, we're trusting the applicant to map the fish.
Oh, and they, yeah.
What
I don't know if they're mapping it correctly or not.
Evidently.
Maybe not.
Fish stands for
But-
flood.
Flood slope.
That's who
and
we're
it's basically
trusting.
When you've got a,
Flood slope
when you,
hazard.
when you have
Right.
slopes
And
more
it's
than a certain
definitely-
percent.
It's a big hazard.
It should, yeah.
So you should first be questioning the
Yeah,
accurate
we have,
mapping.
we have our
Okay,
attorney
all
looking
right.
into it on this one.
Okay, well, you should have somebody with a,
Okay. We need another access point to Tickle Creek Trail?
yeah, I mean, what this serves is, and I can kind of show you on the future mapping of, you know, you've got all this stuff over here, you know, all the Cascadia and all that. We don't have an access point for Bornstead, Cascadia, all those houses. We don't have an access point to Tickle Creek at all. So this
They
was,
can go down the road
We-
and.
They could.
yeah,
Come down
it-
the
let-
valley.
You can
I'll show you.
Go down the road, then
So
you
that-
have to walk a ways on the street.
That was the one thing we were gonna point out to you guys. So I'm trying to stay very neutral in this. We had recommended, just like you guys had, to put a trailhead in. But, so I think what you could argue, and they're not arguing this, but eventually you could put a, walkway down this way,
Which is where?
farther down.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, I
but
see.
you know, when is that gonna develop, especially
Correct.
if it looks anything like
Correct.
the other stuff? And, because you got this drainage here, so, you know, this is kind of a optimistic, all this may look like this, you know?
Good.
But my point is that, so all of Bornstead and Cascadia, this was the access point for them to get to Tickle Creek.
That was the plan.
Well, that's kind of
Because-
what, when this
because
came
the
in, that's
people
what.
up here completely blocked people off, right? Way
Yeah,
back
and see,
here.
here's Avamere here,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah, that,
There's somebody up here.
Yeah, that is
could
where it
block
matters, yeah.
Tickle Creek, right?
Yeah, well, there's Avamere and
Trail.
there's
Mhm.
Avamere and then there's a forest behind it that's
Yeah,
undeveloped.
and then, but
the
down
stream
towards the
goes
bottom
through
of it, I
it.
think there's a house down and around
I
there.
think you're right,
so
yeah.
that blocked.
Yeah, farther
sort of
down.
thing.
so,
But the stream's up on the side of the house. There
So
is
all
a
we're
stream.
looking for is they've submitted a land use app. It's going to hearing for the planning commission in late February. And we just wanted to confirm, is the Parks Board still want a trail connection on this property? Or are you comfortable with what they're proposing now? And and when I say comfortable, what they're proposing is that they're proposing something off their site now.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if
Yeah.
this will ever
Right.
happen either.
yeah, we don't know if that's even
Correct.
feasible.
Correct.
I'm not comfortable
And
with
this
that.
is the same zoning and comp
Yes.
plan?
Yeah, same zone, yeah. Yeah.
Is-
Well, no,
it-
this
it's
is
now
just
in the UG
imaginary.
It's in
Yeah,
the
right.
UGB.
It's in the
It's
UGB, but it's not
imaginary,
in the
but
city
it's
limits.
going to be something like this.
Go back to that
eventually.
other one that we
Yeah, it's in the
showed with all
UGB,
the
but not the city limits.
Elevation,
Okay.
is that beyond stuff on here?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that's why we had this done. That's
Okay.
why we had the office of this, because they didn't provide us
Okay,
the
now show me
contours.
where that is, just help me.
Here, let me just draw this.
Where's this line right here on that?
So this property is the property that's looking to be developed, and
This
so we,
right here,
yeah, we
okay.
were recommending the trail somewhere through here. And now they're saying that's too steep, but you can put the trail right through there. And the red just means,
Yeah, the
very
red
steep
is
terrain.
Yeah.
And
Does it-
that's
where
the thing
does
I
it
was
have
saying is
that?
the only other option is to put it through a less steep area eventually.
Oh,
but-
we have, yeah, we
Okay,
have.
so your current position
Yeah.
is yes, they should build it? They should build the,
I mean, that was our position at the
Yeah,
pre-app, that was your
right.
guys'
Yeah.
position.
I'd confirm it.
Yeah, and I think, the other thing that I think we talked about, I don't recall, but, you know, actually, let's see, this is another parcel over here, what's all this here? Do we know? An
This,
existing house?
this is
That's
an
the
existing house,
right?
and this is owned by the city of Sandy.
Right, and so where does our boundary go up to, here?
City land,
Yeah,
right here.
okay, so that's us,
So that's what we were saying, if you get a trail through here, you hit our property right
Yeah,
after this
right.
area.
right.
Why doesn't the city try to own this? Just not possible.
I think they could dedicate it to us.
Well, see, that's the thing, is like having some of this stuff dedicated, and again, just having the access point
So
through
that,
there.
that could be your recommendation.
Yeah, I mean.
I think that'd be a good recommendation. So you would be looking to have this maybe as a tract,
Dedicated.
and then have
So
some
it's
track through,
protected.
somewhere through here to link to
Something
that
that's
track.
flat enough that doesn't require, you know, that is a
Right.
reasonable easement between houses and not a, you know, it can't be so steep, or
There's
that they,
stairs.
you know,
So how
build
you-
steps.
You go
Yeah.
into the south end of Meinig, you know, you go in that little bitty trail,
Mhm.
and then you have steps.
And that's an
Right.
option,
Right.
yeah, having steps and stuff if we can't, you know, if all these things over here are kind of, it looks like they're kind of
Like
steep to
tearing it
begin
up
with.
or whatever.
You know, I mean, if you look at this, what you're talking about is, which parcel, these, right? These are the lots you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, you'd need
Yeah,
steps
that's-
probably in
Is
here.
it so steep that you couldn't do straight line steps?
Well, you could do steps, yeah,
You
you could
could
do
do
steps down
straight
here,
line
but I'm
steps.
saying if you had a dedication.
But could you
do
do,
that.
could you do that all the way down?
Oh, you know, you don't want like it's not really,
And it's not very
It's not
scenic
very
to have.
friendly.
well, and
yeah.
it's just, you know, it's
No.
very, it's like, who wants to,
Carries.
you know, climb up 150 steps to go hike?
Right.
Have you ever
You
been
know.
on the Dipsy Trail in Marin County?
No.
No,
Not to get us off
especially-
subject, but they
especially
have
given
something
the-
crazy
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
Especially given the kind of trail Tickle
Yeah,
Creek is.
right.
Right,
It
it's,
doesn't,
yeah.
it's, you don't have,
Yeah.
You know, I do it all the time and I can't go uphill.
All right, yeah,
It's not a real big vertical
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
urban
Yes.
trail, yeah.
Right.
So the objective would be to kind of just get something through that's fairly flat that you could put between two houses, dedicate the parcels that are on this, you know, and that's already giving them a buy, because usually we want land that's flat. And
Correct.
we're willing to
Correct.
take crap that they aren't gonna be able to build on, that it would just be a, you know.
So would it be your recommendation on the record to still have them appraise it and only give them the credit for the appraised value of the land? I think that's how you would typically do it.
You mean would it be low, just because it's?
Yeah,
So
because
steep.
it's so
So-
steep, yeah, they're not
right.
gonna get the
Would it be
usual
high
credit,
because-
they're gonna
Correct.
get the
So
credit.
if they need,
Yeah.
and the only reason why I bring that up, say they need to either dedicate land or pay a fee in lieu of $100 grand.
Right.
We're not gonna give them $100 grand for
Right.
really steep land, I
Stuff
wouldn't
that,
think.
Land that
you know,
we
they can't
can't
build on
use,
anyways,
Correct.
right.
yeah. So they're already missing our requirement that it be, there's a qualifier in the
Right.
development code as to what the kind of land they can give us. And so, yeah,
We'd be kind of making an exemption,
yeah,
giving them a
Well,
partial credit for
and-
the donation
yeah,
Because of.
based on an appraisal.
yeah.
I mean, I think that's how the development
Yeah.
code spells it out.
And, you know, I mean, honestly, when you look at this, we, you know, let's see, our property's down here. These are the lots.
Yeah, our property's right here, and then it kind of comes up this way.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't, there's no trail in there, but I walk around, I mean, I know, yeah.
Mhm.
the
But I mean,
area.
conceivably, we
I
could
can
say,
see
well,
where they
never
were
mind. I don't wanna-
Clearing the trees.
conceivable,
I
but,
figured
you
they
know,
were gonna
I mean,
do
it could be
something.
like this in here, because this is all fairly flat. And then to the end of the lots, you get this down here.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd prefer the access point be up here and not down here or over here, because then you are gonna end up with staircase.
I mean, originally, staff, even before I brought to you at the pre-app, we're talking to them about bringing it way over here.
Mm-hmm.
But then the problem was, there's a property here that we
Yeah,
don't
that
own.
they don't
So
know
it
about
doesn't
this, so
work.
that's a,
These
Yeah.
guys, yeah.
and so,
But it
my-
could go out on the sidewalk, and then up that side road, I walk there all the time. And
I mean, if you don't want this trail connection, then you could
There's
just
a way to do it.
bring it off the sidewalk, but I mean, I think you'd want other trail connections besides sidewalk trails,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
But
That
it
was
is
the whole
very
parcel,
close,
yeah.
I mean, it's right there.
so my preference would be to have it kind of in here instead of down here at this end.
Yeah. So this is just your idea, Kat, definitely is, just so I get it clear when we make a recommendation. So you're thinking of more towards lot 21 than
Mhm.
towards 19?
Right,
Or
yeah.
down to
Because,
here.
Right.
right, that's what I mean, is
Because
kind
it's
of
less
between
steep.
these two lots. This is a bigger lot, so you could make it narrower and still be the same size as that.
Yeah, you just had to get an adjustment to the lot width, but they can do
Right,
that.
right, but you could, you know, it would still be the same size, because this is the same width as that, this is longer, so if you took the width out, you know,
I
you
think this
wouldn't
is
lose
what we had
anything.
actually recommended at the pre-app
Oh.
was shrink these lots down, get a variance to the lot width,
Mhm.
and bring some sort of tract through.
Can you
And-
show me where the Tick Creek Trail is going to be? I mean, on that other map?
Mhm.
Like,
I mean, does that match what you guys were kind of looking at?
I think I gave James the, you know, preliminary, and of course, all that stuff, you know, it's not been, it's,
So here's a, like
no,
a
the
walk.
existing trail would be coming, you know, through here.
Oh, this is not the trail you were thinking of?
Yeah, no, that would be
Future
the,
pedestrian
yeah.
trail. Because there's already a walk, there's a path
There's the
right
pathway
here
there, yeah.
that I always walk on,
Right,
and then I come
yeah.
over here and walk up
Right,
here, but,
right.
But you don't.
I mean,
ever
why
go this
couldn't
way.
you walk here and put the path just?
Well,
I mean,
the
there's-
intent
it's-
would be to
there's
have
no
the trail
cars-
along the creek.
There's no cars
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
and it would just be
You
easy
come
to
right
just,
across here.
boop, and you, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you use the
Oh, and then
existing,
continue
there's
on
already
like
a
that.
pathway there.
Mhm.
The cars can
City's
go
gonna
on.
develop that.
Well, so you're saying, you know, this already exists, you'd come
Uh-huh.
down here,
Uh-huh.
you'd go along here. We
Right.
still need to kind of, you know, the important thing is getting connection from all these houses over here to
Right.
Tickle Creek without having to go out to Jacoby
Uh-huh.
and on the road.
But they wouldn't they still have to? Well, they just have to go here and then over here somewhere.
Well, they'd have to cross down here, yeah.
So it's not that far away, though. I mean, I walk this all the time. It's from here to here.
But see, we don't own this, and these
That's
guys
a
have a big,
road.
huge house.
Yeah, I
And
know.
so-
But to go down here and get on that other road and that already
Oh.
exists, the pathway that already exists. then
Rather
you
than making this, you mean?
could- Yeah, I was just thinking, it's already there. You wouldn't have to develop. I bet it's already gonna be
Yeah.
used. It looks like in this, it was already planned to be used.
This, the city would do, right?
Let's look at our.
This isn't,
well,
this isn't here yet.
No, no.
Okay.
When do we
None
need
of
to make
this
a
is here?
decision?
Where-
No.
Okay.
Well, it's gonna go to planning commission. It would need to be tonight.
Okay.
Just a recommendation tonight, because we're gonna have to have the staff report done here in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
So yeah,
There's
I would need a
already
recommendation
a
tonight.
wide concrete pathway going right along there where that mark is. Right along there,
Well,
yeah.
we don't know what the status of that is. That may be a private drive.
No, it's not, I walk it constantly.
Well, that
The
doesn't
city-
mean
the city
legally.
maintains it.
I think it's
They
the,
maintains the road, they are always out there blowing
Yeah,
it
it's-
off and.
It's the, it's like a city access to, I think there's a pump station down there and also a
Right,
wetland,
yeah.
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 I've been down that little road a few times.
Okay.
It's right there at the south side of Timberline Trails. That's the one you're
Yeah.
talking about, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can walk down it. You can't drive down unless you have like a key to unlock the bollard or whatever.
right, right.
Hmm. Okay,
And it
well,
actually goes right past the creek. I mean, I see the creek kids go
Mhm.
down and play in it all the time from that little road. So,
Right.
I don't know if that's accurate view of the creek, it may have changed.
Hmm.
Is it pretty dense overgrowth?
It really is, yeah.
So here is the, I think this is the, get this done. Okay. Where are we? I'm lost, I'm lost. Okay, where's Avamere? Is this Avamere, right? Okay, so yeah. So we have a, okay, so we originally had a thing down here, and then we don't, yeah, we,
So it's,
well, see, this was outside the city limits when we did this. All that was outside the UGB, so we didn't necessarily have stuff in there. So where we're talking about is at this right here, right?
right, and so right here, right now, I think this is the little path.
Yeah, right. Mhm,
And
it's
it
right there,
goes-
yeah.
It's right there.
Well,
I don't.
what do you want to do?
Well, I was just thinking that would be an idea, a way
Yeah.
to save resources and use
Uh-huh.
the existing sidewalk. There's a sidewalk, people can walk down from Cascadia and then they can get on that little road.
What, in here?
There's a sidewalk, you could walk, right down here, there's a sidewalk. Cross over and walk on this little road and then you could get
Is that
onto
the-
trail.
That's a little access road.
There's a little access road.
This one, right, that one.
This is the access road right here.
Oh wait,
Is
this
there
might
a
be-
sidewalk
This might be a
here?
private drive.
There's a sidewalk on this side.
I was
Yeah,
talking
there's a
about this
sidewalk.
little thing down here. I don't know what the status of that is. if
That
that's
is
a-
the walkway I'm talking about.
Okay.
There's these few little houses right there and they're steep. It's
Okay.
real steep in the back,
Mhm.
and I live right over there.
Oh, do you live in Timberline Trails?
Yeah.
Isn't there another path like through here though?
There's
Like
this
through
right
here?
here.
Yep, it goes.
you can
yeah.
walk that too, right?
Yep.
Okay, I
walk
thought
all the
so.
way. There's a little
Huh.
bridge, a couple of little
Yeah.
bridges.
You have to get me up to speed on that.
Yeah, there's two bridges.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an
You can
interesting
see
little
the
area back in there.
creek and,
Yeah,
Yeah, the
it's
kids
kinda
love to
cool.
play in it.
Okay. See, yeah, that's great to have you on there, because, you know, I don't.
Yeah, so there's a sidewalk down there,
Yeah.
and then they could get on
Yeah.
that. Anyway.
Don't touch
What?
the screen. It's touch
What
screen.
happened?
It's a touch screen. No.
Okay. It is. We do our. That's. I never use the touch, such a mouse, such a. Okay.
I mean, it would be fun if we all went out there and looked at it, but I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you're busy.
So, what's your recommendation? Do you want to go with what they proposed, or, I think our choices are to go with what's proposed, with the caveat that, you know, whatever you're proposing is kind of an alternate outside the proposal
Mhm, mhm.
option, or to go with what we talked about first?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess I wish we had more time. It just seems like we don't really have time to consider it, really.
Yeah, I know, we used to have a little more time.
Well, I had
to think
thought
about that.
originally when we were talking that we should confirm what we said before and have them build something in here. But if this is viable,
Yeah, I walk it all the
then maybe
time.
we don't need that.
That's what I was thinking. And the creek, I mean, I see, when I'm walking, I see it, I mean, it's right,
Kind of right through here, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I see it, but I can see it when I'm walking over there, so the path would probably be over there, and then it would just come right up here. It's like, it's just almost perfect the way it is. If you could come out and see, look at it.
Now you're saying what? Just
Saying
go that way and come this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then across the road, the main road, the creek comes out. People have a trail that they worked into there, probably homeless, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and you
Again, for
walk
such a
almost
flat
across the
trail,
street onto
however you
water.
do this isn't gonna be a fun access, because it's gonna be, even with switchbacks, it's gonna be steep. It's gonna be you're gonna be climbing one way or the other. If this is flatter, that might be a better way to go.
But these giant lots, right, these people are gonna have bigger yards anyway, right? What do they need a water for? That's kind of what,
Yeah.
sometimes, you feel worse for
So
people
the-
over there, because they
right
don't
over
have
there, there's
any
the
but
creek.
a-
To see, what-
Yeah,
here's the
right,
thing that I
but
would
a-
consider, so
okay,
when
but
you
a-
get to here,
but a
how do you
backyard
get to
does
the
not
creek?
substitute for a hiking trail.
How do you get to the trail? We don't own all this property here, right?
Oh.
Wait, where are you? What are you looking
I'm looking at like the existing.
Yeah.
Let me try to go
at?
existing.
Place like that with all the land cleared out,
I can put it on, up
Right
the
up
open
there?
space.
I don't know.
It's
That's
a
that's outside
road.
city limits.
Okay, hold on, I can put up,
And the creek's right over here.
I can actually
See
pull,
it. You
let me
actually
pull up
walk
some real
across
fast.
and I've got
Across it.
existing open space that we own also.
Let me pull up some on the surveyor's website and tell you guys if that's a private drive or what that is. That one that you walk down.
Yeah.
See, I'm not showing that, I'm showing that we own the stuff over by Avamere, but not,
Oh.
not this over here.
Could be.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be right too. I
There's
thought we
some-
did, but.
It's like all fenced off. There's a big,
Oh.
this area over here is like fenced, padlocked. And I thought there was some kind of water purifier system.
I do
or
remember kind
something
of seeing
going
that,
in there.
when I
I'm not
walked
sure.
back there once, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that's a private drive thing that you walk on, because it's not showing up as a right of way.
Really?
Yeah. 'Cause
So
see,
that's the concern I
here's-
have, is
Here's
that-
Trillium,
Yeah.
and then there's nothing south of that.
I mean, there's dog bags there, and who refills that? Is that?
I'm not sure.
Huh.
So you're saying that
Weird.
this trail is private, we can't?
It doesn't show up on the recorded plat as being a public right of way or
Okay.
like a public tract or anything. It's
And then there's
just,
no easements to get down to the creek from there, right?
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
But there is land that's not developed, that, like I said, the creek goes
I don't know
right
if
by
it's
it.
tract
The
A.
But how
path
do
is
you
here,
get
and
there?
You can, the kids just walk down. I mean, it's so close. It's like 5 feet
But where are you accessing it from?
from that walkway, that path that's walked off that has
But like
dog
up
bags.
here? Up here's where you're accessing it, or down here? Because there's houses all along here.
I think it's probably right in here somewhere.
It's way
Way
back.
under that, those trees. Well, no, it's not right there. It's gotta be,
I don't know, like here's, because I thought.
right, yeah.
So there's no houses on that side?
No, there's no
Okay.
houses.
Well, I guess we have, I don't know that that's land
That's
that we
possible.
own. It could be private. It
Which
looks
one are you
like-
talking about? I'm
Go
sorry.
back to the one you were just looking at.
I mean, I'm
'cause
looking at
It looked
our-
like that was all platted out with lots that haven't been built yet.
Tracks and stuff, yeah.
I could be.
It's so steep.
Let me open, hold on one second.
From
Just give me
where
one
the
second.
houses onto that other place.
So you just go
Because
outside.
you're right about there, right?
Yeah, so I just go, there's a little path,
Uh-huh.
and it has a couple of bridges, and you go over it, and then it just keeps going, and it goes
Right.
behind all these houses.
Right, because everybody's always walking up and
Yeah,
down.
right, right.
And, but you're not saying they go off into here,
No,
they
no.
go up here and they
But
go off.
But there is access under here to the creek. I mean, it's like 5 feet away.
Can you zoom in at all?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, we own that. We own this parcel.
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, you do? Oh.
We own this
Yeah,
big
because there's dog
tract.
stations there, and I see
Oh.
the city guy out blowing it, and it's really neat, and clean.
And we also
Where do
own-
we own?
We own this tract, this tract. Yeah, we own both those.
Thomas does send
There's a
me all
delicious-
that.
Yeah, we own that like triangle piece.
Can
we
you
own
highlight
this.
it?
It shows after, a
N-
little after.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I used to have a.
Is that Google Earth? Here, I know how to do it. Just right click on it, on that thing that you're on there, to the
Uh-huh.
left. Here, let me try. Just, how do you right click there?
Mhm.
I think it's old, I think it's prior.
Oh, let's see if he makes that one
I had no idea I did this.
No, it's not.
I used to have ArcGIS, but I don't have it anymore, so.
Anyway, so what are we trying to decide here?
Well, if we
We have
want
to
to say,
decide this, or can we have more time?
if we want to say no, we have to put an easement, or if we can say, oh, look, we have this existing.
Yeah.
I
Which
think
we
I have a
might
city
say
assembly,
I think end
later.
up saying anyway, if when it gets down to it,
Is that what
and
you have?
people look at it, but,
Well,
oh,
I
look,
got
this is
everything
already
from
here.
Thomas on this.
Okay.
But I might be wrong. I mean, it's, I have been.
It's not
It
gonna do that,
happens.
but at least. Okay, so at
Yeah,
least
so
it shows
we
you.
own this one.
It's.
Okay,
it's
ladies, come
beautiful.
over here
It's
and take a look at this, because it shows.
Yeah, so we own, I'll just show you the ones we own. Do we own this one? Okay, so we own this piece of land.
Uh-huh.
We own this piece of land, which is part of where that trail is that you're talking about, that
And that's
private
right off
drive.
that private path.
Yep,
Uh-huh.
and we own this land, whoops, we own this land.
And that goes up to Tickle.
We own that land that Kathleen had already pointed out.
Oh, we do?
We own that land, we own a lot of little
Little
parcels in there, yeah.
Right over there we own. Oh.
I
A lot of
didn't-
lo-
I asked him, give me a copy of all the private land, or city-owned land.
Okay, we don't own that one, that's a
Okay.
homeowner's, but we do own that one,
Is
that one.
landlocking us there? That one that you just
It,
said? we
no,
own?
I don't think it is, cause I think
Okay, we can
this path, I
spot
think,
this.
comes around it.
Mhm. So we own this one, we own this one.
We own that one,
Do we own this?
no. We own this one, and we own
Okay.
this one.
So we would have to, come down here, to here, to there. Do we own all that?
Yep, we do.
Do we have a continuous, corridor?
Yeah, we own that. We own that, yeah, we do.
Anybody zoom in a little bit?
Cool.
See, my house is right here. I just walked through, right through there.
It's just hard to see.
I guess it's not letting me do
I
that.
don't think it touchscreen won't let you do it on Google Earth.
Oh, really?
Do it that way.
Yeah, so
Okay.
here's this little path I was talking about,
Right.
that we
okay.
own.
Well, actually, yeah.
And then we own all
I
this
walk-
land.
There's my house
Oh, okay.
there, so I walk through here.
You walk through
I'm
here,
pretty
and
sure.
Is that
then
all
here. Yeah, it's all,
city-owned?
it's all
Here.
city owned.
And you can go another way, but I always go this way.
Oh, this
You
connects
can
to
go
this?
that way. Yeah, they,
Oh, I didn't know
right
that.
here, they Y out.
Oh, I didn't know this
Yeah.
connected to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So we must have an easement over these parcels then?
So see
well,
where
I
that
see the
dotted
dot
line
bank
is?
things.
Is that dotted line like an easement or something?
Hmm.
Is that where the trail goes, to that little cul-de-sac?
Where are you talking about? Oh, whoops. Yeah, this trail.
See this, what's that, a dotted line
Yeah, it goes
there?
up to here.
And why is it we can't have some more time to go?
That's
look
what,
at
because it Y's right there.
Because it has to go to a land use
Goes
hearing
down and up.
in February.
Hmm. Okay, so my understanding is that
I
if
think
we
that-
do fee in lieu of, they have to give us the high value stuff, right? The
They
high,
have to give us the, yeah, they-
$100,000 acre or whatever it is.
well, how many lots is it? I can tell you how much they have to give us. You see the 32 lots. So if they do a fee in lieu, they're gonna give um, 0.41 acres times, they're gonna give 100,000 basically,
Yeah, about
$99,400.
$100,000, yeah. Or they're gonna give this land,
At the appraised rate,
which will
plus whatever money's left over after that, which would probably be a significant portion of the 99,000. Because the
because
land.
it's not gonna be very valuable.
Correct.
So the question is, we have this connection from over here, and the question is, and I want you guys to zoom out a little bit to kind of think, okay, cause, you know, what's developed is developed now. And so we've got some access, we're not sure if that private land, that gets you guys access over here, but it doesn't necessarily get them access. If we don't own this, we don't own that?
No, I think.
Parcel?
Are you
I think we have
sure?
an easement though.
I see dog stations there.
Yeah, I think we have an easement.
Well, we had part of it, it looked like we owned this
Like up to here or something.
by your house, you know, this
Up
thing in
there.
here.
Let me see.
Uh-huh.
Cause you're over here, right?
Okay.
Oh, mercy, oh, those elder bugs, I hate those. Here, let's do that myself, sorry. Elder bug, I save spiders, but
Okay, so
I do
part
not
of it
save.
is the cities and the others are private roads.
We have an easement through there.
Have an easement?
On that
We
private
have
road?
Yep, we have a 20-foot public utility easement and public pedestrian access easement.
On
So,
the
yeah.
one that's south of Trillium, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so we do have an
All right,
easement.
so that's one of the possibilities is to get,
And it's just right over, like, right here.
Okay. How's everybody feel about that?
Well, if we already have a way for people to access the trail, why are we forcing them to put in a trail?
And we might decide later on, just, oh, hey, this is already here, let's just use this, and we own all this land already. Yeah.
But we could get that land that's closer and steeper to the creek away from the.
And if it doesn't work, we can always fall back on putting it where they want to
With
put
the
it.
On the next developer.
Well, the-
Yeah, but we don't have to do that if we have this
That's true.
possibility.
So
That's
again,
true.
scrolling out there,
But wouldn't it be worthwhile to keep them away from?
because
the
I know
creek?
we've got access for your neighborhood, but to get all these, this is what I'm concerned about, is getting all these guys over there. And so what that's gonna do is they're gonna have to walk down that sidewalk,
Right.
and you're saying, and I'm just gonna
I'm
verify.
saying it's not a big deal for
Okay,
me.
no, I
but
know,
maybe for
right,
others it would
Right, but I
be.
just wanna make sure that
Or
we,
little kids or something.
And walking up it is, it's, you know, get out of.
There'll probably be more taxing down the stairs or whatever you're saying.
so there is a side, here's the street view. This is that big house you were talking about, that's right on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a sidewalk in front of theirs.
It ends really quick.
Right,
You
right.
can see other side of the street.
Right,
Oh, so you have to cross that street.
so.
Do you, but this is not very busy.
Well, you wouldn't cross it here because there's nowhere to go to, because, where's my house? Yeah, so you have to stay on this side of the street, and then you go down here,
That's cool.
you've got a little gaposis, and, you got a little gaposis, and then the sidewalk picks up again, right?
No, it's
Oh,
on this
no, it's
side,
just-
it's continuous.
No, but over here, is this a sidewalk?
No, it's not a side, there's no sidewalk over there.
Yeah, there is, this is a sidewalk.
No, it's. oh,
This is
yeah,
street
there
view,
is,
this
you're
is a
right.
sidewalk.
There is a sidewalk,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I,
There's a
yeah.
gap, yeah.
So you do.
There's a slight gap, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for this right here.
right, right,
Okay.
sorry.
All right, so these guys
So
could
keep
cross.
going and you can see the creek.
Yeah, well, it's at this low point in here, I think. It's
Oh,
probably right in
yeah.
here,
Yeah.
kinda, so.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then they're gonna walk down here,
Mhm.
they're gonna go down, and I doubt this street view will take us there. It'll go through here,
Mhm.
and it's not gonna take us, cause there's not street view on that. And you're gonna walk up here, and then you're gonna go all the way over there.
And the creek comes right up there, it's
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
It's like. from
Okay,
here
what do you
to-
guys wanna do then? I guess, you know.
You guys wanna go to the mic so that we get it on the
Okay, I'm sorry.
recording?
I wanna
That's
say
fine.
that.
Okay, so.
I was just saying, if you're gonna make a motion,
Yeah,
it might be
right.
nice to have them on the
So, we've had a lot of discussion. We've got access, alternative access for the Bornstead Cascadia Village developments going down this private drive that we have an easement on and along Jacoby Road. So the Jacoby
Creek is right
private
there.
drive workaround. And so that's one alternative, and then the alternative,
It's steeper in reality than it looks in that view, I think. Coming down that, isn't it?
It is steep, yeah.
For,
It's-
like
it's-
for baby
It's
carriages
pretty
or
steep.
whatever.
You mean on
Yeah.
Jacoby?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
steep.
it's
It's
steep.
steep.
but so would the stairs and everything else be
Correct.
steep, you know, it's not,
Right.
yeah, it's just, that's the way the topography is.
Right.
So the option is, it's not this, it's this parcel, right? Yeah. So the option is to require trail access through somewhere in here down to Tickle Creek. Is that the option? Or the what's on the,
That was the original recommendation by you guys and
Right.
by staff.
We
Well,
didn't-
staff
we-
wanted that, and then we brought it to you to
Yeah,
confirm that, and you
yeah.
did confirm.
We didn't say exactly where, we just said we want access in that parcel, in the northwest
When you,
section.
yeah, when you develop the subdivision,
Yeah.
we want
Yeah,
access down to the
okay.
trail.
And so, Susan, what I heard you say, just to clarify, is that, you know, for example, one thing we could have is no trail easement between the houses, like we were talking about, but dedication of the steep land that's undevelopable for city-owned open space.
Just to protect it from,
At an appraised
Gazebos.
value,
Mhm.
and then whatever, so you'd get, I think we were just talking about, you just stepped
Yeah.
away to the bathroom. So we get about $99,000 in parks fee and lieu if we required no dedication. I think how the code would read, if we required them to dedicate some, but it was really steep and not that usable, they would get a portion, they would get a credit essentially towards the 99,000 based on an appraisal. That's what I would recommend at least,
yeah.
is to do something along those lines.
at a minimum, I would want the land dedication of that ground because if we end up putting the trail, you know, because we're gonna be connecting it down, further down. We're not just talking about, you know, starting it up here.
Sure.
So, and whether or not you put it up, you know, sometimes you have to, it has to go over on the north side, sometimes it has to go to the south side. Where do you put the bridges? All that is not figured out until you get out there and start laying trail flagging and all that. So having ownership of both sides of the creek allows you to be flexible to do the least impactful trail you can for the environment. You know, you don't have to go through this wet area, you could put a bridge in and continue it on the other side and things like that. So it's really helpful to have that land dedication of the northeast corner of their property to accommodate the trail wherever it ends up. So then, does
And-
everybody kind of agree to that?
Yeah,
I think it protects the trees
Yeah.
a little bit better than everything
Yeah.
else.
Right. Do you?
Sounds
So, then the question is, do we want to have the trail easement through this property? Or do we want to continue to request that, or insist on it? I guess we can
Well,
insist on it. Or, you know, it's all a recommendation from us,
Right,
but
right.
do we recommend the city insist on the trail easement or not?
Yeah, do you recommend to the planning commission that they should make it a condition that you get a trail through there or not?
Well, connectivity, that's our key word, right? We're trying to help pedestrians get places where cars cannot. That's a very high value for me. And in that regard, you know, it would help people not have to go sort of the car way if it wasn't that much too hard for them to have that little thing in there. But it would have to be an 8-foot wide, whatever thing, right, made to specs and all that.
The other thing to kind of keep in mind, well, if you consider the Tickle Creek Trail, you know, people come and park in that subdivision along the street because
Right.
there's nowhere else to park on the west end to get to use the
Yeah.
trail. And so when you're talking about, you know, this other access point, how do people, where are people, you know, can you park on Jacoby Road?
I don't know.
That's
I
probably an
don't-
arterial.
I don't think you legally can.
Right, so,
Right.
you know, so this may
Quite
be
much.
the place, you know, so this is a place to provide
might
a
be
little
better.
parking, like if people wanna start the trail here and go, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah, I think
they
there's a
might-
bike lane on there. I'm
There's
pretty
a what?
confident. I think there's a bike lane on Jacoby, so I don't think you are supposed to park there.
All right.
So that's another, I mean, and of course you could park over in your subdivision, I don't know I don't know, I doubt you could park on this private lane, cause that's,
Most
No.
people don't know how,
Yeah,
that
right.
little trail's there anyway.
you couldn't park on the private lane, so that
Right.
private
That-
lane may offer pedestrian access, but it won't offer,
That's a good
access for
point.
people in the car.
Good-
So that's another thing to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong in having potentially 2 points of access to the trail.
Right.
I think it's,
I mean, you do, that's what staff was thinking at the pre-app, before we even asked for your recommendation on it, was that as this area continues to grow south of Tickle Creek here, you're just gonna have more and more houses. So I think at some point you'd want some sort of connection down the hillside, whether it's on this parcel or one to the east of it. You know, that's your guys' call tonight, I guess, but at some point, I think it would be beneficial to have a trail connection.
Well, I know we don't have another trail connection at all, you know, when all that stuff went in, we never accommodated one. So I
Right.
kind of think like, you know, maybe all that stuff will happen in the future, but, you know, a bird in the hand, two in the bush.
That's
You guys hear
right.
that?
Kind of grab them along coming by you. Otherwise, they're gone.
Yeah. Okay, so,
That's what
well, let's make a motion. Can somebody make a motion?
what is our motion gonna be?
To ask the planning commission to either, to maintain the trail access through the northeast corner of the subdivision or not. So,
Is that it?
Access and
The one-
dedication of the FSH area of
right.
that lot.
It sounded like you guys were kind of all in favor of that portion, right?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So at this point, it's kind of more the trail easement, you know, between the lots or
Right.
whatever to access
Yeah.
that
How do you
property,
feel
so we
about
can
that?
put a trail in.
Okay.
Staff's in support of it too, so.
Okay, so everybody's in favor,
Yeah.
say aye of the
Aye.
easement? Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
So dedication of the steep stuff to the city and as land dedication and dedication of an easement, and any remaining owed is in fee and lieu.
Yeah, we'll put in that they would have to get an appraisal and that would count towards the payment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, so then we've got,
We're moving right along.
we got a bunch of things. It's
We'll get
8:30,
to
holy
that
moly.
one.
Okay, let's go ahead and run through the,
Can I tell you one
Go
thing?
ahead.
The
Uh-huh.
shade cell thing could be continued to
yeah,
next meeting.
yeah, definitely.
If you guys want to just talk about it for a few minutes, and then we could just talk about it in greater detail in a meeting or two, I think that would be perfectly fine. For me, it would be at least.
Okay, that sounds good.
Which thing?
The shade-
I
the
think it's the
shade-
next agenda item, isn't it?
The shade items
structure.
over the Bornstead Park shade things.
We got some preliminary quotes, and we just wanted to forward them to you and kind of get a general idea if you wanted to move forward with looking into it more. So we could discuss it real quick and just give us direction, or we could just talk about it at the next meeting.
We've got enough to talk
Shade.
about
I
in the next
agree.
half hour.
Yeah.
Why
You want to
don't we
move it
just
to the next
not?
meeting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Um,
So we'll bring that one back at the next meeting. Okay.
right.
Okay, I'm putting up the, this wasn't it, was it? No. What was that?
Are you looking for the budget document?
Yes, uh-huh.
Oh, I have,
Do you?
everybody
Okay.
has one,
Oh,
Yeah,
so.
oh, right.
Everybody has a
You
copy?
all have a copy in front of you.
okay. Do we have anything to do with this budget right now? Because it seems like
Yeah.
what we have to talk about is
agenda.
our input on the agenda for the workshop.
I promise you this will take 5 minutes.
Go ahead, then. I won't do it.
Okay, so you can see there are 3 different, I guess, funds of
I'll
accounting
put it on your
structure
screen, too.
available or related to parks. There's the in lieu, and there is $644,000 in that fund.
Yeah, that's SDC funds, right?
That's in lieu
Yeah, it's in the,
funds.
Yeah, SDC's fee in lieu.
That's
But
the-
that's considered SDC's, isn't it?
No,
it's
capital-
kinda, it's the land dedication amount.
Right, does it have the same rules and regulation and limitations as the SDC's?
To a certain extent, I mean, it has to be a project shown in your Parks Master Plan, but I don't think it has to be like listed on the CIP list as far as I'm aware.
Okay, well, let's,
We can get clarification on
okay,
that though.
We
that-
could-
could you put that in the notes that we need some
Mhm.
clarification
Yep.
on kind of the limitations on
Limitations
each of
on-
these pots of money?
Okay.
Thanks. Go ahead.
Okay, and then we have an administration department, and this was the only one where there were expenses during the 18-month period, and it was mainly salary expense.
Mhm.
And then we have capital improvements, and those are referred to as SDCs. And we have 809,289, total almost $1.5 million. So that's pretty nice.
So the
Cool.
capital
Yeah.
improvements is the SDCs.
Which
The
one?
capital improvements,
Yeah, right.
it does, that is
That
where
is-
all the SDCs have been going.
Right,
Correct.
right.
And I will let you guys know that I was sharing this, I believe, with Kathleen and Valerie just for a few minutes yesterday. But that number, the 809, that number usually goes up the fastest when each house is built or when a new apartment unit goes in, because then we collect at the building permit level. I will let you know that we just reimbursed about $35,000 out of that I don't think is reflected in here, out of overcharges that happened in the 2013-15 period. But you still have a very healthy amount sitting in there, even with the 35 out.
We'll probably have some more building permits coming in.
Correct.
Every day.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so the next page is the in lieu. And, so here's where you can look at budget versus actual. So you can see beginning balance, the 2-year budget was $248,000, and the total activity for the 18 months is $151,000, with a 96, almost $97,000 variance. That was the beginning balance. I'm not sure how the beginning balance changed. I'm not sure how the budget's done, but, you know,
What's the variance?
it's 96.
No, I know, what does that mean?
Oh, that's the difference, just the difference between the budget
Oh.
and the actual.
Okay,
And you've got 6 more months to go, so I'm imagining that variance will change, decrease every
okay,
month.
all right.
Why do they call it minus when it's actually, you've still got more in the budget instead?
That's an accounting thing.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
okay,
know. I
never
always
mind.
get
Okay.
confused about that.
Well,
Yeah.
because this is money coming in supposedly, right?
Well, no, it's beginning balance,
It's
so that
beginning
was money
balance.
that was there when
okay.
it started, and that's why I'm a little confused why it's,
Okay.
why the budgeted amount's different than actual, but I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
reason. You
So to your
develop-
budget was what we
The
expect.
budget in, you know, you develop the budget well before it's actually put
So
in
you
place.
expect to get 248 in the is that what that meant? You meant
No,
you-
it'd be like what you have in your bank account,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, it was an
that-
actual.
Yeah,
And
that's.
so then we
that's-
expected to get another 151, so
No.
wouldn't,
No, no,
No.
no,
No.
no.
No, we
they
spent
expected to start the
151.
budget period
With
with 248,000.
In the bank.
And they started with 151,000.
okay, you expected to get 250,000 more, giving you 498.
Right,
Okay,
Correct.
that's
okay,
right.
Correct.
Got it.
I thought we
The
had
activities
248
expenses,
and we
okay.
spent
And
one.
it-
They
and
expected to have
They expected they
248
would have
when they made the
248,
budget, but
yeah,
it turned
they
out
really
when
only-
they started the period that they didn't.
they
So
And
only-
I
they are
have
short
no idea
of
how that
money.
different, much of a difference is that in.
So that minus
It had
does
to be a
mean money
finance
they
director question.
don't have.
Well, yeah, it's just they have less in the beginning balance than they thought they would when
I
they made
see,
the budget.
okay,
So,
all right.
yeah, so.
So, but you can see on that one line item that we budgeted for $250,000, and we have already collected 514,000, and we still have, you know,
Wow.
the remainder
Yeah.
of the budget cycle left, so we still have another 4 or 5 months before the
Yeah.
binding
So
is
it's
over.
already
you
double,
doubled your-
double what it was expected.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh.
So even though that beginning fund balance was way off for whatever reason,
Oh.
the collection has been so high that we've exceeded our expected
Yeah,
revenues.
so that's good news.
Yeah, really good news.
And
Okay.
then you have an expense of 21,600, if you look under the total activity column. And I believe that was reimbursement of grant money, if I'm remembering right. Kelly, was that?
Which one is that? I'm sorry.
Park SDC's 21,600.
An expense, or it was a negative revenue?
You know,
Was that the, you had to give money back, the 30?
I don't think that's in here yet.
Okay.
I don't know what that 21,600 is
Oh, okay.
referencing, to be honest with you.
So maybe you could find out and let us know.
Okay.
And then it looks like some interest came in and went out. I'm not quite sure why, but to me, it's not that significant.
That went into the administration budget.
Okay.
I can't
Huh.
tell you that one.
So interest on SDCs can be reprogrammed to,
Yeah,
administration?
according to our finance.
okay, so
So-
that's good to know, guys. Did you hear that?
I heard.
That's kind of a
What?
little pot of money that we're not, so SDCs cannot be used for, you know, things, you know, because, based on their
Very similar.
rules. But the interest that we get from SDCs can be used for things like Tupper Park and whatnot.
And salary and
Yeah.
expenses
So this-
related to the board and just
okay,
a lot,
good.
basically, I think it's pretty open on what
Okay.
they can be used for.
So this
so that-
11,000 maybe?
That is the good thing when you have so much money
Yeah.
sitting in the bank, is
Yeah.
you're accruing a lot of interest to put
Yeah,
into that other
good.
budget.
Good to know. Okay.
Okay, so then we had some expenses budgeted for land and contingency. Nothing happened with that, so we have ending surplus of 644,256 sitting there. So,
Wow. Huh.
okay, on to the next page. We're running out of time. So the next one is administration. And, you know, the main thing that we have in here is basically salary. Transfer from the general fund for wages and then the expense on the wages. You know, there are a few little other things, gazebo rental revenue, plaza rental revenue, general revenue, you know, it's not that significant, but, and hardly anything else in expenses except wages.
One of the things that I was curious, and it's not a huge amount of money, but it is, I just, it seems, you know, are we tracking the revenue, you know, like the gazebo and all that stuff, is that kind of getting siphoned off for other things? I just want to make sure in the future that we, you know, that things that that raise money in the parks go back into the
Well, I
parks.
believe if you look in the revenue line items up
Yeah.
there, after the interest, that, I think it says gazebo rental revenue,
Yeah.
and then plaza rental revenue,
I
so I
think-
think it's going into this administration line item, or this administration
Oh.
budget, I should say.
Okay, so then it could be used for administration.
Or,
But it's
or
still
like Kathleen
parks.
pointed out, for like something that's non-SDC eligible, like upgrading playgrounds in Tupper Park, or doing something like that.
Okay. So the only thing that's not in here that I'm aware of is the house that's rented in Bornstead Park.
Yeah, and I don't know where that money goes to.
I think somebody said it went to parks.
I think it goes to parks maintenance, I think
Yeah.
you're correct.
Which, that seems reasonable
Yeah,
to me
right, oh, yeah.
because.
So,
But
so
shouldn't it
when
still
you
be
say the,
listed there?
like gazebo
Well-
rental, and I hate to get into the weeds, $2,500, is that an estimate of
Parks
what we think we're gonna
maintenance is
have
separate?
this time?
So the 2,500's the estimate for the 2 years,
Okay.
and so far we.
So it's not like a beginning balance from the
Correct.
previous years?
'Cause it-
Okay.
yeah, 'cause it's a
Because the fee in lieu of was a carryover.
Correct.
And this is a, okay, got it.
So we had projected $2,500 in revenue,
Okay, got
and
it.
right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
through December,
Okay.
we're at 1,900.
Thanks, sorry.
Yeah, no, fine. It's good questions.
And that interest is showing up from the past SDCs, I'm assuming. That's where that is?
That
The
interest
first
line
line,
item?
yeah, on the revenue, 25,000?
Part of it must be, but not.
I,
there's
no, yeah, I think, so that
21.6.
interest, I think, is the money coming out of the interest in the SDCs
Yeah.
and fee and lieu. Yeah, oh, yeah.
25, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
And that's the nice thing about having all that money in the bank right now.
Then the last one is the capital improvements on the next page. So it's the same thing, it's the total budget and then the actual activity. So, again, beginning balance was a little different.
Now, is that a carryover or an estimate of what we're gonna have?
That was an estimate of the carryover. So, like you thought you'd have, oh, I think next December I'm gonna have, $50 in the
Right.
bank. Well, you had 60 instead.
Yeah, so
Oh,
on thi-
okay. We have
on this
263.
one, it benefited us that their
Yeah.
estimate was
It
low,
a little
yeah.
Okay,
more,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so.
Which column are you talking
Oh, just this beginning balance
about?
column.
Oh, right, okay.
So then for revenue, we had park SDCs of 300,000 budgeted, but we actually, in the 18 months, we've had actually 46,000 almost. So we've had 82% more money than SDCs than we thought we would, which is very nice.
And the 225, is that the mining park grant that we gave back? That was
Correct.
274, but,
Oh,
Correct.
that's the mining park.
That's why it has a negative at the end there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the big help on Park SDC is just so everybody's aware, is, that big apartment complex going in on Sandy Heights? That has generated like hundreds and hundreds of thousands in SDCs, and we still haven't collected all of them yet, so.
Oh,
Wow.
and so where are they in
I
here?
think it's $500,000 in SDCs we're gonna get for that apartment complex.
Wow.
all right.
Wow. And no park up there, right?
And no parking. Not
I
enough
mean, there
parking.
is no park there.
Is there going to be a park there?
It's just gonna be a whole lot of traffic.
No, they're gonna have on-site amenities, but then you'll have $500,000 to put
Yeah.
into a park where
And you do, and they're not that far from Hamilton?
Correct, they're right
Yeah.
down the street.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna, between Park SDCs and fee and lieu for that one apartment complex, you're gonna get about $1 million,
Wow.
or 990 or something like that, it's really close.
Hmm.
So it was a good revenue source for our park system.
So
Maybe
then we
can
have these
put a park up there
expenses.
In that area. Yeah, anyway, the expenses, so there were, the Tickle Creek bike path, we didn't use any of that, 5,000. Bornstead Park, we didn't use any of that. And then the next two categories are kind of broad,
Mhm.
future projects, so
Mhm.
whatever, I guess we made it broad on purpose.
Yeah.
So that we could use it.
Yeah.
And then the contingency.
Which is for what?
That's for something bad that happens that you didn't plan on.
Right.
Some expense you didn't plan on.
Okay, and they didn't spend anything on it?
Nothing was spent, so
But
Not
that's.
yet, no.
it couldn't be maintenance, so it has to be a capital project, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done any capital projects since this biennium's taken place.
Yeah.
So this is great to have you explain all this to us. It really
Yeah,
gives us
that
a
is
great
wonderful.
overview.
Yeah.
It's
Really
nice to
appreciate
know
it.
how much money we have
Yeah,
and
it
we
is.
can actually do
Thanks
some
for
things.
Very
helping us.
nice.
And we've got a couple
Thank you.
questions on it that you're gonna follow up with.
Let me just make sure I got the ones that you want.
Okay.
Hold on one sec. So I'm gonna look at, the limitations of how we can spend fee and lieu money,
Mhm.
and whether it has to be included in a CIP list, or if it just has to be in the Parks Master Plan, or basically just further information on it. And then the other one I had was, what's the deal with the
21.6.
21.6 on the revenue in the
Yeah.
in lieu? So they're both in lieu questions, I assume.
All right,
Okay.
Is that the two you had?
I think so, okay.
Thanks.
All right, so what I'm gonna do now is, there's two things that we need to cover. It's 8:48. The two things that, it's the items that we wanna cover at the workshop, which I think is critical, and then the trail connections, which we're gonna be able to look at when we have the workshop.
So can we skip that now?
Yes, we can. That's kind of where I was going. So,
The second one you're
the
saying?
trail connections,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna see the trail connections, and I can send them to you out ahead of time, just so you have a chance to look at them.
Good.
I can do that for you. I brought copies of the, I'm gonna give you these copies of the, things, so that when I send you like little photos of the maps and stuff, the numbers, I think I had this, just pass this around. So the orange ones are gonna be the trail connections. So those are the names, so, and by quad, remember? So when I send you a Google map, you're gonna see those
What's
orange
all
numbers, and those are,
Oh, they're
that's
just
gonna
blank
correlate.
sheets.
So that's your little crosswalk, okay?
Okay.
When I send it to you to look?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at that.
So the things for the workshop, what I was hoping to get done at the workshop was kind of roles and responsibilities for the Parks Board, the Park Council liaison, the city staff as it relates to the Parks Board, and the city council. And the other thing I thought was helpful or important to cover with them is, where we've been, where are we now, and where are we going with respect to park master planning. Park building and construction, how did we get what we got? Where are we now? We need a new master plan, blah, blah, blah. And then we've done some preliminary little planning that we want to kind of see, fed into the parks master plan.
And we also talked a little bit about getting some training on like the legal aspects, I guess, because if 4 of us get together, I guess we have a quorum, and we're not supposed to do that. Which I didn't know that was true of us. I just thought it was the council.
Yeah, we should get, I don't know that it's true of us.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
we, my understanding, which may not be right, is that when we're in meetings, we follow open meetings law. But apart from meetings, they don't apply to us. Now, I don't know if that's true. So we
So
should
we
get
want some clarification.
clarification
Is
from
is
that.
David gonna be at the workshop or not?
I don't think so,
Okay.
our attorney.
Yeah.
No, but what we could do is just have a list of legal questions that then he can answer.
Ahead of
And
time,
we could
yeah.
we can even add some other things like the
Yeah.
speed and lieu thing to that list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, here's some other questions we
Yeah.
have that our attorney
Right.
can answer for us.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Not
good
at the
idea.
meeting, but
right.
he could give us like a summary back in an email or something.
So what I did.
Does that sound like a good
Yeah,
way of doing
yeah.
it? He's not gonna be there, I'll just let you know.
And Michael brought up a great idea about, what do we give, what do we give new Parks Board members for orientation? And so, Nancy used to give them a copy of the 97 plan, I think our original charter, maybe, I don't know what else she gave, but it should probably be documented and how we orient people with all these roles and responsibilities, kind of sideboards on behavior and how we treat each other, and things like, do we need a quorum, and what are the term limits on our things? Some of that's already been addressed previously. Just kind of operating procedures.
Yeah.
And I got a great example of, this thing is from Pennsylvania, and my God, it's like 120, it's 120 pages of Recreation and Parks Board handbook. It's got a lot of fantastic stuff in there, and so what I did is I just kind of started, today, kind of cutting and pasting sections into it, into a draft of a City of Sandy Parks Board manual with credit to this original handbook, because I'm not going to sit there and footnote each thing, because I'm pretty much copying and pasting it in its, not in its entirety, but definitely, just excerpts from it, because it's got a lot of great stuff and there's no in my mind, to recreate the wheel. But at least it's a starting point that we can work on to say, we like this, we don't, we want to edit it, and we can then change it.
And maybe we could get it to 10 pages.
Yeah, right. Well, let's see, it's already up
Possible.
to, I'm up to 9 pages so far. Well, you know, and like I said, some of this, I just kind of want to send it to you, and you guys can just kind of sit there and redline it and go, you know, we don't need all this stuff in
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It is, you know, it's a little overboard,
Yeah.
but I was tending to kind of go, you know, more than, you know, not 120, but yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Since I can't get there probably on time,
mhm.
because I'm coming from work, who's setting the agenda? Like, I'm still a little confused, like, is there a separate part that has to do with some other things?
That was I haven't
Or-
gotten that clarified, and I just saw the email from Jordan.
Yeah, I mean-
I'm helping to set the agenda for the Parks Board part of it. Is
Oh,
there going to be
okay.
a pool, community campus, or anything
I
like
don't
that?
believe so.
Okay,
I'm not, I can't answer that with 100% positivity, but I don't believe
Um.
that's gonna be part of the work session.
okay.
So,
That's my understanding. So, when we talked yesterday, Kathleen offered to help set the agenda as well, and, cause, you know, sometimes staff would take that role on, or the board, or whoever, but I don't really have the time before the night to do much on it. And so Kathleen was gracious enough in saying, well, I'll take it on, and so I forwarded to Jordan, saying, I think you guys are gonna be really working together on creating the agenda. You and
Yeah.
Jordan will be.
Yeah. And so I wanna know what does the staff wanna get put on there, and then what does the city council wanna get put on there?
And what do we want?
and it's from
Yeah, and
9
what we
to
want.
noon, or is it
9
expected?
to noon.
It isn't running till 2, it's just 9 to noon?
No, it was confirmed with me today that it was 9 to
Okay.
noon. There will be like snacks and refreshments,
Huh.
and it'll be in this room. And then they're gonna put
Here.
like tables out here, I guess, and then you're gonna kind of have like a round table instead of like the council sitting up there.
Oh, yeah, the
and
council
dictating
can sit
to
up
you.
here, we're gonna sit in the well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be tables, and you're gonna it's hopefully gonna be a more collaborative process. Yeah.
Huh,
So in the future, I mean, it would be nice if somebody asked if we were available. I mean, I know this was I was there when it was decided when it was gonna be, and I was sitting in the audience, and I thought, wait, well, shouldn't they ask us? And
Yeah, and I would
Yeah.
definitely take that and give that feedback back to our city manager.
Yeah.
I mean, I had nothing to do with setting the time or the date or anything.
No, I know you didn't,
Yeah.
and I thought about, but I thought that would be out of place to speak up like that.
I do think that would be good feedback for him to have.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
and it's good for the city council, because sometimes they sit up there and go, oh yeah, we should have a workshop, let's have it on this date, and, you know, I'm sitting back there
And
going.
they all look at their calendars and they all agree.
You know, like,
but-
they're the only ones coming, so
Yeah.
Right.
it is important, I think they would.
And it's important too,
Yeah.
actually, even, I mean, honestly, from my perspective, to even ask staff.
Yeah,
Because
right.
I might be on vacation
Yeah.
or something, which is
Yeah,
fine, I
right.
just wouldn't show up, but
Yeah.
I would like to be there.
But if you're critical, you know, if they're talking about planning
Right,
stuff.
exactly,
kinda-
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
well, I'm sure
One-
they'll be open to that.
One of the things that seems, I mean, with my limited experience, that comes up here all the time is this issue of does a developer dedicate parkland or give us money in lieu? And I think a discussion of that for a few minutes with the council might be worthwhile, because we're making recommendations to them. Be nice to know what their attitude is on that, and what their guidelines might be.
Yeah, I've
Are
talked
you
to a
getting that
couple
in the
of
meeting
them.
notes, please?
I thought you were writing down what you're gonna have on the agenda.
All right, I will.
I've talked to a couple of counselors, and I got the idea that they're not in favor of the small parks. They're in favor of larger parks.
That's the idea that
But
I've
nobody,
gotten
it's like
to.
nobody told us. It would be nice if we knew that. We
Yeah.
could make decisions accordingly, so.
And see, what do you mean by larger parks?
I think they were against pocket parks. Because
Right.
of the money it takes
Right.
to
Right.
maintain it.
Yeah.
All these
But-
little parks, there would be less.
Well, see, that's where the definitions of, you know, and acres and stuff, and so, like, this park that we were talking about today was gonna be, you know, it's 1.26, but if you add on the next parcel over, it'd be, you know, more like, 3 acres or something, or bigger, depending on how big the next parcel is. And then if you bought land, you could make it a 5-acre park. But, yeah, so,
I mean, I can help you write this together. So we're thinking legal questions,
Yeah.
parks fee in lieu.
Oh, the legal questions and quorum rules, you know, what are legal responsibilities we should be aware of?
Okay, so
As an
quorum rules
advisory
from our, as advised by our attorney.
Yep,
Yeah.
for an advisory
Well,
board.
I mean, we're supposedly 7 people. We're only 4. If one of us isn't here, do we have a quorum?
I don't think you technically do.
No.
So yeah, that would be nice to get a couple more people, at least 2 more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's,
we're,
yeah,
I'll tell you, we're almost down to 2.
right.
Agreed.
And I'm still
Um,
confused about this
no.
term limits business because, you know, they went over that before, but we're not being, you know, crushed by people wanting to take these seats away. So what does that mean, you know?
I mean, you could ask it at the,
Well, yeah.
I have 2 people that are interested.
Oh,
Well, let's
come
get them
on,
This
yeah.
meeting, but the
Yeah.
next one they.
Can you ask them to fill out the
I
application?
did.
That's- Okay.
I sent
yeah.
them a link to the application.
good,
Yeah,
okay.
but maybe they're not really serious. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I was expecting somebody to come tonight and, you know, they may have been, you know, had something come up, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Anyway,
would
so give
encourage
it-
you guys to recruit new people and try to get a diversity of neighborhoods and interests, you know, and all that. What other things do you think, that's a really good point, you know, is, I think with regards to that, it's important for them to understand, you know, what's a pocket, you know, like what we were talking, well, how big is a neighborhood park? How big is a pocket park? You know, how did we get all these pocket parks and kind of how that happened and then how we want to go forward. Because this is kind of what happens is we say we want these bigger parks, but then what happened tonight is we're like, you know, well, we'll just go buy some land. Well, the other thing to understand is there's not a lot of people out there with, you know, 6 to 8 acres of land for sale that's
Flat.
suitable for flat, you know, community park land or whatever. So we have a lot of money, but we don't have that much money, but it's, you know, the idea for building, you know, for example, with the Bornstedt Park, we bought that at basically, because I think it was in the UGB at that point, we paid over $1 million for that land.
really?
Yes, yes. We put in over $1 million into Bornstedt Park, so that's.
So $1 million in capital improvements or
For
just
the
the land
land.
purchase?
Just the land purchase, I think.
But having that discussion with
Yeah.
them and hearing
Yeah.
their points of view and then hearing you
Yes,
talking
it would
about
be
that
really
is a
helpful.
good thing to have, because we don't talk to them often.
Right.
Yeah.
I talk to
Yeah.
one of them a lot, but you don't.
Well, we have a silo in our house, but anyway. But it was interesting tonight, I thought, was that, okay, we're getting fee in lieu of, you know, they want us to give us fee in lieu of, right? I mean, tonight's
Yeah.
developer. And yet, you know, so our fee in lieu of may be too low if, you know, if it's costing them a lot more to give us the land than to pay us to go buy land, that tells me that, you know.
Well, I think they're looking at the lost revenue from selling the houses too.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think it's just the cost of the land, I think it's.
Yeah. But I think the intent there is that, you know, if they're supposed to give us 1.26 acres, we should be able to kind of, you know, take 1.26 acres of developable land and buy it, right? That's the intent of the fee in lieu of, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they should be equal balance, like,
yeah, correct.
and so what I'm hearing
Yeah,
is.
I get what you're saying.
No,
yeah.
it's costing them more than, you know, than that, and so, you know, or they're gonna make more than, you know, than 1.26, so, but
Right.
it'd be great to talk about all that, so. Are there other things that we can kind of broach with the city council?
Who actually called this meeting in this way? You know, originally we were gonna meet with those consultants and all that, and now it morphed into this thing.
Well, that
And-
wasn't originally. Originally, we were gonna do this, what we're doing, and that morphed into the 2 with 110%. That wasn't what was going to happen originally.
Okay.
But I
So
don't know who called it originally.
Originally, somebody wanted to have a joint meeting.
I had a little bit to do that. Basically, what happened was when our November meeting got canceled, and then there was that presentation at the December meeting, I came forward as an individual, not as the Parks Board, and I clarified that and said I would like to, you know, see us hire a consultant to finish the master plan, because I'm concerned that we need to get it done as soon as possible.
Right.
And then there was a lot of discussion, and I testified, but then I had to sit down. And they could kind of tell I was like, you know, there was a lot of discussion back and forth with staff and them, and I was just, I had to sit down and I shut up, because that's how this, I understand that's how this works. And at one point, I think Bill, the mayor, or somebody said something like, well, maybe we should have a workshop. And I was like, yes, and
So-
thumbs
Yeah,
up,
okay.
I think
because.
he's who said-
But
I
so
think Bill
originally,
said
it
Yeah,
was
Bill
to
said it,
discuss
and-
that particular issue.
And, well, he could tell that there was a need to kind of have a give and take conversation about all this stuff. And so that, and a
Not just
workshop
that.
allows you to do that. And so that was kind of the initial thing. And then Kim was one that kind of said something about the 110%. And then I, came back recently and said, I'm not sure why we're bringing an out-of-state consultant that doesn't know anything about what we're talking about. I would like to see us just kind of focus on, and of course, that was, we hadn't decided at that point that we were going with a consultant. Since then, I gather that they have made the decision to hire a consultant. So
They
at this
have?
point, yes.
For the Parks
For the
Master
Yeah, I mean,
Plan.
and I'll be very honest, staff didn't want to hire, we were against hiring a consultant. I know Kathleen was very for it.
Yeah.
And we've since flipped. We
And-
agree with Kathleen that we
And was
should hire
that
a
just this
consultant.
week or something?
In the last couple weeks,
Oh.
Yeah.
we're kind of rethinking the approach.
This workshop is going to be recorded,
I hope not.
so, well, I'm hoping it is, so
I don't
that if
know.
you miss a lot and there's important discussion,
Oh,
you can
well.
get to hear it.
Oh, there's a thought.
I mean, it's in this room, so we should be able to record. I mean, you guys could request that too, that we record it, so that you benefit from it.
Well,
Oh,
normally
okay.
I wouldn't care, but since one of
Yeah,
us
no, I
is going to
agree.
miss it,
Yeah,
I think it
that's
would be
important.
nice if it were
Yeah.
recorded.
I'll get here.
Yeah, and they can do that. They can, I think, move the mics over to the table. I've seen previous workshops recorded.
And not just broadcast out to the public necessarily, but recorded so that we could look at it, or does it
You
have to
could
be
look at
public?
I don't know.
I
I don't
guess
think, I mean, it's not
nobody
gonna hurt
cares
by
that much.
broadcasting it to the
Yeah.
public. It's a
Yeah.
public meeting.
Yeah,
So.
right.
The other thing that I did kind of bring up was with a consultant, when you do a master plan, as if, Susan's been around longer, but, these consultants are still, it's not like, oh, we'll just hand it to a consultant and everything's hunky-dory.
Oh,
You gotta, you gotta manage it, you gotta know what you want out from the consultant, then you gotta have a RFP, you gotta have a project manager making sure timelines are met, content is high quality, people are getting involved, they're asking us, they're involving the public, they're engaging with the city council and the planning commission. And so what I was recommending, because I know that, planning staff are, as we can see, development's going gangbusters, I said, I did recommend that we consider hiring, just like, a 3-day-a-month project manager or something like that to, kind of work with the Parks Board and the consultant as a project manager overseeing that contract for the master plan. Somebody that has some experience with our, with doing park master plans and things like that. So we can talk, that's another topic that I want to talk about at the workshop.
So it'd be a consultant. So it's two items, right? Consultant for Parks Master Plan, and then more of basically a project manager to assist staff and the board with the
Right.
consultant.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about?
Yes, uh-huh.
You think 3 days a month will be enough once we get going?
I think it'll go, it'll be like, depending on the progress of things. I think when you start getting the public involved, there's workshops and stuff like that, it'll probably be a little bit more. When you get to the final thing and there's a lot of review stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah,
It's
it's just
gonna
kind of
take
like,
time.
some days it might be less.
and I guess
sometimes-
we can help with that too.
Yeah.
And I do see the benefit of that in kind of assisting us too.
Mhm.
So, because Kathleen is right, with some consultants I've used, it's, if we get a really good one that's really responsive, hopefully that's what we get. Then we don't have to do as much hand-holding and as much holding their feet to the fire. But if we get somebody that is a little bit less responsive, having this other person that's really managing them is a pretty important piece, I think. And I just know with how busy we are, like she said, it'll probably be a little bit, it would be helpful, I think, to have a third party in there.
And we can use the SDC money for that, right?
Yes.
For a contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're helping develop the master plan, yeah.
Yeah, it's a contractor too. So yeah, any other things that we want to cover with them?
So can I just run down the item, and then you and Jordan can talk some more and finalize it, just so I'm kind of, parks fee in lieu versus park-led dedication. What is the council's perspective on
Mhm.
dedication of land versus parks fee in lieu? Parks fee in lieu spending limitations, information from our city attorney, quorum rules from our city attorney, term limits, are term limits still desired?
Okay,
Do you want to X that one?
no, that's fine, I also wanna clarify what they are. The quorum stuff, there was also.
Well, I'm just
the-
sending
Yeah,
this
yeah.
to you and Jordan,
Okay.
and then you and Jordan
The
can.
term limits, isn't that in that advisory, that
Yeah.
advisory board
Admin
101?
100
I
thing,
think
yeah.
it's in there, but I'm not sure.
But I mean, that, you know, I don't know, I think it's just something to talk about.
There
No, I-
are term limits?
I think
thought
the
they
question,
were. I
when you
thought
said
I
quorum, I
heard
think
that.
the question was also
That was the
open
new thing that
meeting
came along
laws.
with Kim.
Oh,
as far as
yeah,
I
you're right,
understand.
you're right, you're right.
That was it.
Quorum rules and open meeting
And,
laws.
but nothing has ever happened with it,
So ex
because-
parte bias, all that kind of stuff.
that I
Yeah,
can see.
ex
Um,
parte, yeah. So for example, we go on a parks tour, we don't necessarily decide anything, but we certainly discuss a lot of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
It's not
very
open meeting,
informative.
it's not being recorded or anything.
Right.
So that's kind of the question about open meeting laws and the need to, whatever, yeah. So just clarification on things like that,
So, roles and responsibilities for,
yeah.
what do you say, roles and responsibilities
Roles and
for board,
responsibilities. Yeah, board, staff,
liaison,
liaison,
staff,
and
and council? Okay.
Yeah. And then
Um,
just the where have we been, where are we now, and where are we going?
I think Jordan already had that on
Yeah.
there, so. And then I also got future trail layout and trail connections,
Mhm.
consultant for
And-
Parks
and
Master
park-
Plan.
Future park and trail.
Oh, thank you.
Layout locations.
I'll get that in there. And then the last one I had so far is the project manager to assist staff and the Parks Board with the consultant for the Parks
Mhm.
Master Plan. I think that is an important
Yeah.
part to talk about.
And then, I don't know if, this thing that came up tonight is something that should be discussed or not.
It's a good example of some things.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we
I don't know.
could-
So my question is,
Kind of.
I don't want to talk about this in violation of, the people that came here and, whatever. I mean, is that considered ex parte contact or
For the
anything like that?
council.
Yeah, so that's something to consider. I just want us all to be clear.
I think it would be.
Yeah, so just clarify what can or can't be said about this. But
'Cause if
in
you-
fact, the whole general discussion of land versus fee is fair
Yeah.
game.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if you did bring this, I mean, to have ex parte, somebody has to object and declare that you didn't declare it. So, but if somebody knew that you talked about it and they didn't like that, I think they could declare that it
Yeah,
wasn't declared.
it
Well,
might
in
be better
fairness-
to just avoid that.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Well, in fairness to him, he wanted to come, if we were gonna decide at our 13th, he wanted to be here, so I wanna
Correct. Right.
give him that benefit. And then, one thing that needs to also go in the notes is the question about how, he was going off of the 97 plan, or the comp plan, and why doesn't the 97 Parks Master Plan not match up with the comp plan? Can you kind of look into that for us?
I don't know if I'll be able to find an answer, but we can look into it.
Well, I guess my question is, I'm assuming the 97, okay, so that, I don't know if you guys heard that, but our 97, so this guy came and he handed out this stuff. I didn't give, did you guys get one of these? He handed us
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know what's that? And he's like, oh, this shows the parks. And I'm like, well, there's one,
Long
right,
time.
I had a picture of the park locations from the master plan, and it doesn't match up with what's on here, which is, I guess, the comp plan. And.
You know what
so-
is weird too? Take a look at the Barnstead Village plan, because it doesn't match the comp plan either. Because on here,
Yeah.
you're showing a park here, and then the Barnstead Village plan shows it like over here. I mean, there's just a
Yeah.
lot of inconsistencies.
So my question, I guess, is, did this supersede the 97 Parks Master Plan? I hope not, but, maybe it did, but, so.
I mean, I guess the question for me too, to an attorney, would be, which one really, is the comp plan the one that's more the guiding document on parks, or is it the Parks Master Plan? I would tend to think it would be the Parks Master Plan,
Yeah.
because the comp plan's more of a general plan.
But you're talking to a land use lawyer, so I would.
No, not to him, to our attorney. I would ask
Oh,
that
I know,
question.
but I mean, he could make a point of it, and I want to know the answer before I ask the question, kind of thing,
Mhm.
so, yeah, just
Um,
getting it, I don't need to know how it got
Right. We wouldn't be able to
messed up.
find that out, I almost
Right,
guarantee you.
Right, so, but, yeah, okay.
Can I, one thing, back when Tanya went that direction and everything became split
Yeah.
up into 3 different things and all that, and that is still what we're living under, right? And is
So-
that
yeah, for
up
now,
for
yeah.
discussion, or is that something
That's a
they
good point.
understand.
So kind of park and trail management organization structure.
Right, because,
Total
and how
consolidation.
much FTE
Yeah.
do we really have?
Yeah.
And how can we really access it? Or how do we know what we have or when we have it?
Mhm.
You know, and what is happening with Jane? And,
I think that's a great thing to
Uh,
add on, Susan. Yeah.
but, you know,
You're right.
hopefully it'll be all discussed by the time I get it right.
You just bring it up and
You know,
I don't
what I
know.
think is, we're gonna need more than one workshop.
Yeah.
And I think, but I think that, you know, I already brought that up as an
Yeah,
issue with
right.
Jordan, and I think it's something that we need to
It's-
deal with.
It's, yeah, it's just
And
so
s-
awkward, and like the fact that in our budget, we don't have parks maintenance, we don't even, you know,
It is
we
in
don't
the-
have
it
anything
is
to
in the
say about that,
maintenance-
it's all,
It is in the maintenance budget, I mean, there is,
but it's not where we ever see it.
Yeah.
We don't just ever talk to it. I've never met him as a part of being on this board
Yeah.
for whatever years, you know, which is neither here nor there, but it's, anyway, that whole split up of everything's just still.
So that's kind of like, I can kind of
That's a
incorporate
really
that
good
into
question.
where are we now?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of like we started with 4 parks and we had, you know, a couple people in dealing with parks.
Right.
And now we've got 17 parks and we got like 7 people involved.
That's really
We do.
good point.
And
And
yeah,
so
I don't
that's,
know.
and I think they're open to talking about that. I don't know that we'll get to all these things. I think it'll be good to kind of daylight all these issues, but
Yeah.
I don't know that we'll be able to kind of get resolution on all this stuff in 3
Right.
hours.
And
In
did the whole little, I brought some of those sheets, those inventories that we talked about,
Mhm.
each of us doing, that whole issue that's come up and been bantered around several times, but not resolved about whether it should be staff, parks maintenance, whether it should be some of us running around doing that, or if we should have input or not.
I think.
That
I
is
think-
nowhere right now.
That's kind of the roles and responsibilities for
Right.
city staff versus parks board
Right.
versus, you know.
But that's a specific example of
Exactly,
that
yeah.
needs to be, right?
Yeah.
Because as far as we know, it's not exactly being done, right? Right, so.
Kelly, are we gonna have you at all our meetings?
I think for the next few at least, I don't know, probably not forever. Or not indefinitely, I should say.
Okay.
I don't know, I think we just need to see how it goes and,
Okay.
what were your thoughts, what were your thoughts on that? I don't know.
Hmm?
What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think for the foreseeable future, I don't know, I'm gonna, kind of evaluate it and see how it's going and,
Mhm.
determine what our, I think, I don't wanna really answer that yet because I think this February 9th workshop will be a good tool to kind of say, what should we kind of do with this role of being kind of the staff liaison to the Parks Board and, who do we want in that? What parameters should that person be bringing to the meetings and that kind of stuff? But I'm planning on coming to the February one and most likely the March.
But you can tell, for me, I can see the helpfulness of having kind of a direct line, or at least, some really valuable communication between the planning folks and us making these recommendations
Mhm.
to, whether it's land and why we want that land, and, I feel like.
And hearing from them what's, they've already.
Yeah, I mean, but the planning folks should be able to carry, the rationale for why they want what they want.
Mhm.
I don't wanna see us entertaining developers, trying to talk us out of
Right,
our
right.
decisions, or, we're not the planning commission.
I think it would be very
Yeah.
hard if a land use attorney showed up at one of your meetings without
Right.
a planner there, especially somebody
Right.
probably with
Yeah.
at least as much experience as I have.
Right,
Or you guys
Yeah.
could get like the city attorney on the horn at least or
Right.
something.
But you can see it is helpful to kinda
Right.
have that discussion, have that firsthand communication, yeah.
Would you like me to keep coming for a while?
Yeah.
What's your guys' feeling on
I
it?
think it's helpful.
Yeah, I
it's
think
helpful.
so.
Yeah, I think.
I wanted to, when we talked the other day, you indicated you might be able to find the Arts Board charter. I believe they've just
Did
developed.
I say that? I don't even remember telling you that, to be honest.
They just developed a new one.
Art sport. Oh, did you get it?
No, I didn't
Oh,
get
oh,
it,
oh.
but we were here waiting and they came out of the room and I think I heard one of the counselors talking about it.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
You want me to forward that to
Well,
all?
that would be
all
good
for
for
you?
us to use as a model.
So is that the
for our
bylaws
charter.
or our
Our
charter?
charter, yeah.
Yeah,
Is it bylaws?
maybe it's bylaws.
Okay.
And then also, we
Name
talked
tags.
about you providing.
Computer access.
Providing us with a
Computer access.
document describing legal responsibilities or something like that, ethical
Oh,
behavior that was.
did I not forward that either?
No. Here, I wrote it down. I'll give you this.
Yeah.
I can forward that one like tomorrow.
Okay.
You mean the document that I said that our lawyers
That's
had
right.
typed up like several years ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
several years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Sorry.
just be helpful if we're developing.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a long day.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then
I
Susan
appreciate it.
wants name tags like the Arts Commission has.
Yeah. he
We're,
said-
I already said we're getting name tags.
Well,
Yeah, I'm ordering.
James
name
told
tags.
us we're not
It just-
that
when
formal
we-
of a board.
when
Yeah, we'll get you name
they
tags.
have a bigger board, right? There's a lot more of
There are a
them
lot of
on it.
people.
Well, we
the
need
arts
some more
board.
people.
Yeah.
I know.
I
Yeah,
know.
no, we can get
Let's
you-
out there.
we can
That's our
get you-
job, is to go recruit people,
Yeah, I'm
okay? So,
trying.
We can get you name tags. I'll have to talk to our IT about the computer setup. I just don't even know what goes
Yeah,
behind that.
yeah.
I'm not that proficient on computers, to
Yeah.
be quite honest. So I really don't
It's
know.
this Saturday.
yeah.
Well, Susan's a good recruiter. She recruited Val and I.
Good.
Susan did?
Yeah.
There we go. We have our recruiter right there.
Our headhunter.
I'm kind of recruited out for the moment, I think.
Thank you, guys. I really
Actually-
appreciate it.
I don't have enough contact with the younger
Yeah.
population.
Yeah, we need
But
somebody
he
under
was young. He
Good,
was
under
yeah.
60 there.
So you had Bethany.
Yeah, I know. We
did.
lost our millennial contingent, our demographic.
Yeah,
Uh,
right. Okay.
I did. There was one item I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
It was the item we were already talking about the other night. So if there's an option, and I wanted to poll everybody while we're all here, and that's if we were to change the meeting night, potentially.
What?
I have one staff member that I would like to kind of act as kind of the administrative liaison or assistant to this board. You know, do your minutes, make sure all that's kept up to date, get the water ready, coffee, get your computers running before you get here. And she's an administrative assistant in our office. She can't do Wednesday nights due to religious functions she has to go to. So Wednesday nights are out. But if you guys are open to other nights, then
Yeah, I'm open to other nights.
I'm
Well,
open, but I have,
Thursdays
I have some Tuesdays and some
Tuesdays.
Thursdays busy. Wednesday
Yeah.
is always open, but if
Right.
we choose the right one, I can
Right
do
one,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do I have on Thursdays? Something, I have something that she knows
And,
about that I forgot.
and if we can't do anything but Wednesdays, that's fine also. I just need to know that. And then I wouldn't use that person. I would look at trying to find somebody else. But I just know that if we could use that person, I think she would be excellent in that role. And I think you guys would really enjoy her in that role. And she's only right now at 25 hours, and we're looking to try to get her more hours, and this would be a way to do that as well. But I just want your feedback on what.
If you send around one of those
Huh.
thingy doodles,
the Google Doodles.
where
Meeting
we,
invites?
we can each block out the times we can't do it,
Yeah,
and then we can see what works.
yeah.
Is everybody okay with meeting on the February 13th date that we
Yeah,
proposed?
that's a
That's
Wednesday.
a Wednesday.
Yeah,
That's a
we're-
Wednesday, and I'm okay with
Okay, so
that.
that's also
Wednesdays
goes
are
into the
fine.
notes.
Let me make sure I can make that.
Okay.
Hmm.
But we might
Um,
want to do it, what about a Monday? Is a Monday a problem?
Those are
City
city
council.
council and,
Yeah.
I
And planning
think I can make
commission,
that.
So it
right?
just has to be on the right day, though. It's not every Monday or every Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then the only other two administrative things I was going to bring up is I was sending you guys like meeting invites. Do you want me to do that?
It works for
I
me,
don't know.
but
Did I say yes? Because I thought
I
I
don't
tried
remember.
to, but I'm not sure if I did it right, and,
So I
it's
used
kind
that-
of befuddling.
Yeah. So I started using that with Planning Commission about a year ago, and that's just so everybody would get a reminder
Yeah.
that day of. And then the other thing is that's how we kind of determine if we have a quorum now. So it is helpful for
Well,
staff.
I thought I said yes, but then
I
I
think
clicked
you
on
did.
something else, and then it looked like I had to say it again, so I thought maybe I didn't, and then I didn't want to say it twice, and anyway.
Well, if it's helpful, I'll probably send them out.
This
when we
feels like-
confirm the
was
meeting
it
dates.
Outlook? Are you using Outlook?
No, we use Google. The city uses Google.
Yeah, Google, huh.
And then the only last one I had was if you guys would want to see like a Google Docs this is what we're doing for a lot of boards now, and the Google Docs would be shared with everybody, and then that's how you would add, and it would have like upcoming meetings, and that's how you would add agenda topics or items or ideas.
Yeah, I like it. I
So
can show
that's
you
a
how to use
shareable
it.
type thing.
We
can-
would, everybody
yeah.
here would share it,
Yeah.
It's like a
Okay.
and I can show you how to use it,
shared
it's pretty,
Yeah.
I think,
I think it's pretty good. It's just
Yeah.
basically, it's like a Word document almost, and so if you had some concerns or comments or whatever, you can actually just go on there and go, well, what's this? Or if, you know, like, when I had changes to the meeting notes, I would just go in there and
Go
type that up.
Do it, yeah.
And, you know, here's what I want added, and it's just a shareable, you know, all of us can kind of edit it and decide what it should say, and then,
And then how do you know who changed what?
you
Or
could,
who
the
was the
person that's
last?
administering it can see who changed it.
yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
tracks it.
So the one downside with it is you would have to have a Gmail,
Account.
account.
I do.
I have Gmail,
I have
I don't
Gmail.
but I
So
don't
that's
use
the
my-
downside to using it, is you have to have Gmail.
You have to use your Gmail email?
Yeah, you have to set up an email
Aren't you
through
already
Google.
on Gmail?
I have a Gmail email, but I don't use it hardly ever, and
Yeah.
things always getting lost there, but, if that's,
So the other option is just,
I could.
to just send an email and say what agenda items.
Yeah,
And I could share a Google Doc
Oh,
with the
yeah.
people that have Google at least.
yeah.
well, yeah.
It's up to you
have
guys.
a Gmail?
I'm open either way.
Oh.
I have Google, but I don't have Gmail.
You don't have Gmail, yeah.
Huh.
Well, I think just sending out you can save it as a PDF or anything
Mhm.
and just send it,
You
you
can.
know,
Okay.
yeah. So,
Um,
You would have access to it,
yeah,
so you could add your future agenda items in
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
In the past, we used to have the printed agenda in front of us at meetings. Is that becoming a no-no in the city because of paper or whatever?
I mean, the city's trying to move away from it on all the boards and commissions
Right.
and council.
I saw
and
when I went to the council meeting, this huge packet, I mean, it was this
Yeah.
big,
Yeah, of
that was
paper.
printed
Yeah.
out.
Paper for the councilmen, yeah, but,
I mean, if we have a person like the lady I was bringing up that could not come on Wednesday nights, if we had somebody that was, could dedicate more time to that kind of stuff, I think it would be easier to print out more stuff
Yeah.
for you guys.
And I can make a commitment to print out the agenda. It's just all these
Yeah,
attachments
it's a
and
lot of
stuff.
packages
Yeah, I
and
know.
stuff like that.
Sometimes you
And that's where I think it would be necessary and fair to say, we need the access to this thing. Because that's what, you know, that's what the city council uses. They don't look at all this paperwork like this.
But
They've
they
got it
have-
all on their screen. Of
They
course,
have
but
the
they have paper,
They have
too.
huge.
do they have paper?
Yeah,
Oh,
a
I'm
huge
sorry.
stack of
Um,
paper
Yeah.
at the last council meeting, because they gave me a copy of it.
Do they
and
get
it-
printed packets sent out?
They
Yeah.
weren't.
They used to, but
They
yes.
used to, and then in 2018, at the beginning of that, they stopped doing that, and it was just all computer.
No, it was
Now I
all-
don't. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go to the last council meeting, so I don't know what was printed, but maybe
Huh.
they're going back to that. I
I
don't know.
was surprised to see it.
Yeah, planning commission, we used to print everything, and that would be so much sometimes.
right.
Now we go to online, and they look at the computers, and then if we have big plan sets or something,
Right, that
we do
makes
bring
sense.
those, like we kind of were looking at tonight.
Right,
Because those are hard to look at on a computer
right,
and make notes and stuff like that.
yeah. But, yeah, okay, so, an agenda is usually just one page.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
So
it's handy to
And I'll
write.
commit to doing that, I'll bring that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
go out and get some more people. The other thing I wanna just say is that I'm sorry we had kind of the conflict that we had this last week. I'm hopeful that if anything like that happens again, let's all just pick up the phone. A friend of mine had a rule that said, you know, anytime, you know, I have to respond to an email, you know, there's a back and forth, you know, more than 3 times, I always pick up the phone because obviously email's not the way to resolve anything. So I'm just hopeful that, you know, let's pick up the phone, let's talk, let's meet, let's whatever, but, you know, let's, hopefully not have anything like that again. I'm sorry it happened. I hope everybody's able to kind of move forward positively and put it behind us. I'm really excited about the, Parks Master Plan getting, you know, getting on track with that. And what's kind of also neat is I heard there's, grants available starting April 1st, to apply for. So we, you know, we have, you know, so at our next couple meetings, we have the chance to kind of talk about if there's something that's somewhat shovel-ready, we might have the ability to, you know, get some grant money to get, it's helpful to get the grant money because with the SDCs, you can't use it, you can only use, you know, if you have, even if it's a new project somewhere, you can only use grant SDCs for a portion of the project. And so, and we're gonna get that explained a little bit better,
Right.
but then the grants allow you to do the portion that you couldn't use the SDCs for. And so that's kind of how grants are real helpful that way. So,
Huh.
anyway, I'm excited about where we're headed, and I think we're gonna be, you know, this used to be a lot of fun. As I was telling you, I said, this used to be pretty fun. We used to get a lot of stuff built, and, you know, it was kind of fun to plan stuff, and so I'm excited about it being again and getting some stuff built, planned and built, so it's fun to do those ribbon cuttings.
Wasn't it February's that we had our meetings at the La Bamba?
Oh, yeah? Was it? Yeah, I think so.
I think it was
Yeah.
usually February's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we kind of they called us out on, I mean, it was like, you know, you guys have these workshops, you get food
Right.
and everything like that, and all we did was go to the La Bamba.
No, we
You know,
had
it
to
wasn't
have one
exactly
meeting
like
once a year.
going up to Timberline or
But it
anything
was
like
nice,
that.
you know.
But then Lisa,
You weren't going to the white table linen cloth?
no,
yet?
no, it was like La Bamba's, and I think we paid for our own or Nancy bought us margaritas
Huh.
out of her salary, because she knew she couldn't buy liquor, but.
Right, on the
you
city
know,
credit card, yeah.
Oh, that's what was happening.
Yeah, but we got called out on that. I kind of think that, you know, the gazebo rental or something should be able to cover some burritos, but I'll leave that up to city staff to figure out.
Oh, anyway.
But I think, yeah, it'll be
Hmm.
fun. Yeah. I appreciate all, you know, you guys all bring so much to the table, and, you know, just it's so fun to hear all your perceptions and, you know, viewpoints, because it really kind of makes me think, you know, I kind of think, oh, maybe you know.
Well,
just-
you and Susan have so much experience, you've been here for so long.
Yeah, but you guys bring a
involved
fresh
in
air.
this,
You
that
guys
it's
think,
nice to
you're
have
thinking
that.
of things a little differently, and I really enjoy that. Because you got, you know, it's
A different
a
perspective.
different perspective, yeah. It's
Right.
good to hear that. I like to
Yeah.
have that.
I never feel like I was very clear when other people who were on the board would leave. They would sort of drift off, you know. And I wasn't clear, you know, something happened in their life. They had a baby or something, too many babies. And then, you know, I mean, that's what happened to a couple of ladies,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
right.
They just, their families got out of
Yeah.
control. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way.
Now that
But, you know,
Kelly
but
has
other
three
people just,
children.
or retired, or
Yeah.
went traveling, or something,
Yeah.
but, there have been a lot of people that came and went
Yeah.
over the years.
Well, it
but-
seems like that on the city council too. I mean, people
Yeah.
come on, yeah, I'd like to be on the city council, and 3 months later, they never show up.
Yeah,
I
that was
mean,
pretty
it's-
bad.
We've had that happen at least twice in the 8 years that I've been here, that they're like missing in action and we never hear from them again, like, we can't even get a phone call returned.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were blessed with a long period there of, you know, continuity, and it really does help to get things done
does.
when you have
Yeah.
that, because
It
everybody's
does.
up to speed, and, you know, they
Yeah.
know what the
Yeah.
overall big
I
picture
think you
is.
probably told me the same thing 3 times, 3 or 4 times. I ask you the same questions, and it's like,
Well, I know, it's 'cause we don't
oh,
do
and
it.
you tell me, and it's like, oh, I finally got it.
Oh.
But it just takes a while.
Yeah, they say you gotta, like, you know, see things and read
Hear
things
it
and
and-
hear it
Yeah.
3 times or something.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thanks a lot.
So, Susan, please come as soon as you can on the 9th, and what time do you think you'll be able to make it?
Well, I mean, I normally, recently Saturdays have been 7:30 to 10:30,
Oh.
but I might be able to escape by, you know, closer to 10. Not escape, that's right. You know.
When are you at work?
It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
kind of escaping
See, she
sometimes.
planned her, you know, she planned her schedule
No,
around
it's
the
just that-
Sunday, because that's what she
Oh.
thought the day was
That's
gonna
what I,
be.
yeah, that's
So
what
she
I
got
was-
Sunday
I don't
off,
work on
and now it's
Sunday
Saturdays,
mornings.
yeah.
Where do you work, Susan?
I'm a home care worker, so
Oh, okay.
in different places.
Gotcha.
But this one is in Gresham.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you guys want to adjourn it?
Yes, this meeting is adjourned,
Thank you.
9:32.
Oh, I can turn this
Yep.
recording off.
Well.
Thank you, thank you. Bye. Thanks.